All right, perfect. We're live. We'll see if we actually get anybody to be in here. At least I think we're live, right? Yeah, we went
Give me
live.
one sec. Give me 1 second and do like an introduction while I take care of something?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's one person watching, so I don't know if that's a Ledger on a backup account or if someone's actually joined. It might be Jack or Godzilla or Michael because they've actually joined before. Someone also is on TikTok. What's going on? We're about to do an MCU tier list. That's what the schedule for this video is with my good YouTube friend Ledger. If you're watching this on TikTok, my YouTube channel has a lot more subscribers and it'd be a lot better viewing there. So, hey, someone else joined. What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. We're about to do an MCU tier list. I'm not super good at using TikTok. So, basically, right now, all I'm doing is just introducing this video, why my partner gets back. In the comments below, if you want to talk about basically what your favorite MCU movie is, what's going on, how are you? Singleton. I don't know, Mason. Yeah, what's going on, Mason Singleton? Glad to see you back.
Fitting for the
And
day.
so, yeah, Ledger's back. So I was just doing a bunch of word vomit before we actually started, but it looks like that we actually got Ledger to be back, which is awesome. So, Ledger, you made this tier list. Do you want to explain what the tier list is?
Yes, this is a tier list for currently every theatrically released MCU film as well, because I was lazy, as well as both of the Disney Plus special project. Oh wait, no, there's no Guardians Holiday Special, but I did include Werewolf by Night.
Okay.
And hmm,
Yeah, that works completely perfect. All right. So, yeah, that should be good. I guess you did it in movie release order, it looks like, correct?
I did.
Okay.
I made absolutely sure to do it very correctly.
Awesome. So, how I guess since it's both of us, we should probably take the average of what each of us think these films are, right? So, like, say you think Iron Man is belongs in the void is the worst tier, and I think it's the top tier. That would mean it was in multiverse of meh.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll do a combined list instead of a personal list because that way we can, if either of us want to do a personal list, do it later on the channel as well. Someone commented Jeffrey Epstein. He's not on the list, but I don't think he's on this list either. So we
I
should
hope
be
not.
good. Yeah, I don't think we're
Happy
on his.
Valentine's Day, by the way.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. So my wife is at work, so I'm getting a great date here anyway. So
Yep.
yeah, okay. So let's begin.
Happy to.
Iron Man. I know that we've talked about Iron Man before, but I'll let you start off because I kind of have a little bit hotter of a take on Iron Man.
Yeah, my takes more the typical one. Like it's it started the MCU off and it didn't have the burden of the rest of it, so it's just a fun, entertaining film. So it wasn't trying to carry and set up the next 10 movies. So just a it is very derivative, but it feels like this one actually started it. It's not a Batman Begins, but for me, this is 100%, at least in my opinion, this would be in my go-to symbol. Why don't you give me your take?
So I can't have it in my go-to symbol, unfortunately. That's
Yeah.
what my hot take is about. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this. I don't have like really any problems with Iron Man. The main problem that I have when looking at Iron Man, this is subjective. This is not objectively. Like if this was objective, like I understand Iron Man completely changed the game. It started the just best movie franchise in general, at least in profit margins. But for Iron Man, for me, the thing is, like, I watched it after Avengers came out. I didn't watch it in theater. I didn't have any experience like that. And I came back after the fact, like after I'd watched Winter Soldier, after I already had a big liking for Iron Man 3. And I was just like, yeah, this is good, but I don't really see like I didn't have the lightning in a bottle effect of like this is the first thing that came out. This is why it's good, that type of stuff. So I probably got to put it in just marvelous. I think that's where it would
I
sit
can
for
work with that.
me. If there was another tier, it'd probably be under marvelous, but I'd probably just go with marvelous because I really
Mhm.
do like that. Like you said, like it was setting up their seedlings, like with Nick Fury and stuff being in there, that it was
Mhm.
going to be a multiverse, that there was something bigger, which is really cool, but it didn't have the MCU isms. But I do think, unfortunately, Iron Man started a lot of that humor stuff. Like it set sort of some tones, and we'll get to Iron Man 2 and talk about it because I do know that why can't I think of it? The guy that plays Happy Hogan like had made
Jon
Chef
Favreau.
because yeah, John Favreau. John Favreau said like a lot of the things I didn't want to keep moving forward is what they like Kevin Feige and the MCU wanted moving forward. But like just Iron Man itself, I would probably just put in Marvelous, which would be in like A tier and not S tier for those who can't see the list on TikTok.
Yeah,
So we move that up.
I can work with that.
You're fine with Marvelous?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, perfect. That's where I'd want it anyways. The Incredible Hulk. I'll start off with this one. I'd probably just put this in Multiverse of Matt. I do think there's a lot of really good things about it. I think it's the coolest adaptation of Hulk that we've gotten to see. I just don't think there's anything special in this movie that lives in my brain, that like just resonates with me a lot. That's where I would have the Hulk personally.
I completely agree with that. Beforehand, I would have probably put it in Needs Avenging over my last couple rewatches when I did my rewatches of the Infinity Saga. This one has moved up, and it's probably the most okay. It's not quite, but it was very inconsistent for me. So, but I agree with you there. I think it's the coolest adaptation of the Hulk. It's definitely it's in terms of just sheer structure of everything, because in terms of accuracy, you could probably give the 2003 one a more accurate attempt. But I think this is a really interesting one, and I think Edward Norton is the superior version of the Hulk.
I'll agree with that on the Edward Norton thing for sure. So yeah, we're putting this basically in the equivalent of C tier for the people that can't see the list.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, I think is I obviously there's not as many tiers here. I could sit between Needs Avenging and Multiverse of Math because I truly do believe that the first three phases of the MCU all the way up until Endgame, like when the phases end, I think most of the movies are actually watchable. I think Iron Man 2 has a lot of flaws, but I think it's a very fun movie. This is subjective. This if this was objective, I would definitely put Needs Avenging,
Yeah.
no questions asked. But that's kind of where I flow. I'll kind of let you take over and just try to persuade me one way or the other. Maybe you think it's and goat's a symbol in S tier. I highly doubt that. And maybe you think it belongs in the void, but I don't think I've ever actually heard your opinion on Iron Man 2.
I think it's like you said, it's watchable. It has a lot of forgettable aspects. It's rushed. It feels rushed. It also feels like there's nothing going on at the same time, and then too much going on in certain parts. So I think it's ridiculously flawed. So I would say Needs Avenging is the best one. It's watchable, like you said, like compared to like the some of the trash we've gotten in phases 4 and 5. It looks better now, but still, it's definitely one of the worst written in the MCU.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. I think, like you said, there's a lot of pacing problems where there's just a large sections where nothing is going on to like actually move the plot forward, and then when the plot actually starts getting in motion, it's going way too fast.
Mhm.
And one thing that will never get lived down is just the P joke of peeing in the Iron Man
Yeah.
suit. Of like, I don't really know who that was targeted and geared for, because like no adult's gonna think that that's funny. And then there's not a lot of like just straight children that are watching the film. Like that's very slapstick, like that you'd see in like
Yeah.
Despicable Me or something. So yeah, I think there's definitely things that could be improved with it. But yeah, I'll put this in Needs Avenging, which is what the equivalent of like D tier, D/C tier.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, all right, you want to take Thor first?
Sure. Thor. I would say for me, this one is Multiverse of Mad. The problem is with I couldn't think of like an in between, and I don't like having like a ridiculous amount of tiers. So Multiverse of Mad could like easily be like just a decent and solid film. So I think it's very flawed. I think all the stuff like on Asgard itself is really good. As soon as it gets into like the whole fish out of water part, it loses me. And I do, like you said, this is where like this is for me the main movie that kind of set up the whole corny joke part. Like Iron Man 2 definitely plays somewhat of a role, but Thor for me is like the big culprit that started the whole trend, and it's one of the worst examples of this. Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, as always, are awesome, but this feels like they're still getting used to it, but they're still great. What about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have very similar opinions. If there was one above Multiverse of Matt, I'd probably put in there because, like you said, the
Mhm.
Asgard stuff is really cool. I appreciate
Yeah.
them actually taking the source material seriously with all the Shakespearean stuff that's going on. And I do think the casting here is awesome, right? Like you have
Mhm.
Idris Elba as Heimdall. I do think that even though the joking stuff, like you got Natalie Portman as Jane, you got Anthony Hopkins as well, I don't know why Odin. You have Chris Hemsworth as Thor, even though he's not the greatest actor of all time, he was still very good typecast in this role. You have Tom Hiddleston as
Mhm.
Loki. Like there's a lot of really good things here, and I still think this was like pre MCU. Like if you looked at like when they were making this, it wasn't like at the time, oh, all the movies are just the same. Like this was just getting
Yeah.
into the race. Like I don't think you can like point the finger at it being like, oh, you're just making the same movie again. I've already seen this. Like they didn't really that Thor hadn't even had a movie before. It hadn't had any theatrical release at all. So I
Yeah.
do think that if we're going to do this and we have less tiers, I would definitely put Thor, since we only have Iron Man 2, and Incredible Hulk. I would put Thor above the Incredible Hulk, but it's definitely not as good as Iron Man. I mean, I might subjectively, just because Thor was the first MCU movie that I watched, like it, but like I even though this is a subjective list, I'm not going to put it on Iron Man's tier.
Yeah.
It's just not on Iron Man's tier. But going back to like what you're saying about the humor, I really do think Iron Man 2 is where the MCUism's humor came through. Because like if you watch a lot of interviews, and I know you watch probably more stuff on movies than I do, but
Yeah.
you can see Jon Favreau's dislike for the movie he wanted to make and the movie that was mandated by the MCU. And I really start thinking like in my mind, that's when the humor started to let's do this in every single film, because
This
that was the
this
first.
and this and Iron Man 2 were definitely where it started.
Yeah, because like I definitely think that in some point in that room, Jon Favreau basically was just like, "Hey, I want to do this. Let's make it a little bit more serious. Let's put a little bit more flavor into it." And then they were just like, "No, like this is what we want to do." And so I think this is the point where like when you hear like MCUified or whatever you want to call this problem with MCU movies, that's really where it started, was here, because like this is the first documented case of someone saying my vision just wasn't this is not the movie that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the last thing I had to say about Iron Man 2. Captain
I will
America.
I will say real quick on Thor.
Yep.
This is once again, it's not great, but this is like phase one entirely is probably for me the best example of how to set up something. Like Infinity War was built up, but it was built up through several phases. Phase one itself feels like you built to a full story and then you ended it. From Iron Man to Avengers. If you had just had it like that, then that would have been one of the greatest like teases ever, where each movie sets up the next and it's just enough, not too much. Like some of them we're getting now are too much. So for me, that's probably the most creative attempt I've ever seen to set something up, and for phase one at least.
Yeah, no, I will 100% agree with that. Yeah, I don't I think that's probably the most creative attempt that they had during phase
Yeah,
1 for sure.
yeah. Captain America.
Yes, Captain
You want
America. I feel
to
like
start?
we'll both have this in the same tier, but I could be wrong.
Mine would be Marvelous.
Yes, I also would go Marvelous. I don't think it quite hits that goats assemble tier. There's some really goated. The ending is really goated, but then
Oh yeah,
there's other parts of the film where I'm just like that would probably be in Multiverse of Meh. Not that it's bad, but I'm just like not as good. I think the character of Steve Rogers in Captain America is perfect already in
oh
the
yeah,
beginning. I mean you've probably seen people talk about it like when they make video essays and stuff about the MCU of like the reason Winter Soldier also works so good is it understands the character, and like this comparison to like Man of Steel, both of them are Boy Scouts, right? Like they're just supposed to be good,
yeah.
just super good people. The thing that makes their stories interesting is they're in a world that's gray and they're black and white. Like they see good and evil as very one thing. So when they
Mhm.
get into situations like that, and I know this isn't Captain America, the first Avenger, but like I mean, pretty much everybody can agree Nazis are not good. Like it's
Yeah,
very black and
I
white.
hope.
Like yeah, exactly. Like he's fighting Nazis. Like it doesn't get much more black and white than that. So I
Mhm.
think there's a lot more interesting stories with Captain America in it, but this Captain America, I think they nailed it like right off the get go.
Mhm. I agree. He is my favorite Avenger, and he has been since the beginning. And I think he is. I'm trying to. I think the reason why he resonates is because he's just like you say. He's the most black and white. Like others, like Iron Man, have so many flaws at the same time. Cap is just like the quintessential hero. So you're not presented with a lot of flaws besides like his stubbornness, and like the only other flaw I can think of is how optimistic, which in and of itself is a strength in a way. So he's. I love the way Chris Evans portrayed him, and that's why you're having so many people that are hyped that Cap is returning next year. And
Yeah,
why
I mean,
I mean not next year, this year. still mentally in 2025. But also, you also have so many people that are worried because they're so in love with this character that if the Doomsday screws them up, they're going to be angry because they built a reputation about him to be liked. And I agree with you. I think there was a time this would be like in my top. There was a time this was in my top 5 of the MCU. All the Captain America films were. So, but it's gone down heavily. Still awesome. Like I think it might be top 10 MCU for me. I'm not sure, but there are moments, like you said, that would be multiverse of Matt. I've never really understood that whole like. Do you know the scene in which one of the ladies kisses him because he saves
Yep.
everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why that's in the film. Like I feel like that little thing to kind of push Peggy away a little bit it's unneeded.
Yeah, I mean, they have to create drama at some point, though, right? Like at least something, because like if you think about it, that would just be really watered down. If like part of that story was the romance between Peggy and Cap, and if Cap's just perfect, and then Peggy's also perfect, like there's no drama on screen, right? Like it just
Well,
go ahead.
Then my thing to that would be kind of more and put more emphasis on his stubbornness and the fact that he has to serve his country first and then Peggy second, and then Peggy kind of wants to jump more into it. Like if you spend more time on that and kind of take out some of the weird romance stuff like that and kind of, I don't know, not montage the whole World War II stuff, then I feel like it jumps up like a full half star. Like it should have. I feel like the World War II stuff we kind of missed out on. That's just me though.
Yeah, yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying with the movie as it is, if they took that out and
Yeah.
there's nothing, I feel like that would be pretty boring. Obviously, you can like improve pretty much every movie and like do that, but I was just meaning like with the content in the context of the film like itself, if they would have taken that out, like you're just going through a whole movie and the only single confliction point with Peggy and Cap is literally at the end when he makes the sacrifice. But we're both good. We would both put that above Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Well, I mean,
I
if
think
if I was doing a ranking, I would not. Iron Man would be above it, but I'm fine with having Cap above it.
yeah, yeah, and like obviously it's subjective, but like Iron
Yeah.
Man is objectively a better movie than the first Captain America. I'm not saying that at
Yeah.
all.
I
But yeah,
but once again, like it's for me, it's minimal. Like it's only like a half star difference between Iron Man and Cap for me, so I'm fine with that.
yeah, no,
Either way, they're both great movies.
yeah, I agree with that. All right, I also feel like we're going to have the same opinion on the Avengers because we've talked
We're gonna
about
have the
this.
same opinion on a lot of these, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of how we got started as being like YouTube friends, is just talking
Yeah.
about the MCU and realizing that most of our opinions were similar. So there probably won't be a lot of conflict in this video for the people. We've had a decent amount of people on TikTok watching, which is awesome. So I appreciate you guys on there. And then we've had people jumping in and out of YouTube. But yeah, where do you want to place the Avengers? Because I have a feeling that it's going the exact same spot for me.
Well, it's named after just goats assemble.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely got to be an S tier. I'll let you start off what you like about it because I mean I'll have what I like about it, but I don't think either of us have too many complaints about the first Avengers movie.
Well, it was a monumental risk, both in terms of budget, in terms of the fact this had never been done before, like a high scale team up film, like Fantastic Four. They introduce and do all the origins in that film, so you can't count that. X-Men, same thing. They introduced most of their origins in that movie, and then people like Wolverine got their origin later on. But like the Avengers, they set it up and then they went to it, and so the humor for the most part is on point. There are some things that I think could have been done better, but I would say Joss Whedon did a pretty good job with the humor in this one. It's lighthearted, but at the same time, like there's some really serious moments that really have impact, like Coulson's whole scene. And Loki's just an awesome villain.
Yep, yeah, I yeah, you summed it up pretty well for me. I also think they have probably the most hyped after credit scene. You could potentially, yeah, I would say honestly Thanos showing up like really setting
Oh yeah.
precedent that like this is a cinematic universe. Like this wasn't just a one-time thing. Like we have more plans than just an Avengers film. I also love the fact that you like pointed out like it seems really weird now, and especially for probably a lot of people like if they're watching this and they're younger, but this was a huge risk. Like people don't understand like this just did not like it would have been like 80 years since the Universal monster films try to do
Yeah.
something like this and it worked. Like this was just a monumental risk, and that's what makes it impressive is like you said, like a some like I don't know why I can't say that word right now. Ensemble films, is that what it is? Ensemble?
Ensemble, yeah.
Yeah, those type of films have been around, but it was like the X-Men or Fantastic Four or just other like Ocean's 11. Like you figure out all the characters within the film, and then that's part of with this, there was no origin. Like all of these characters had already been established,
Hmm.
and now it's just combining them, which like proved to be very difficult, obviously, because people were playing catch up. I mean, DC was doing it. The freaking Mummy universe with Tom Cruise fell apart like instantly trying to do
Well,
it. Like,
the Mummy didn't come till 5 years after this.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even with the formula, people still couldn't replicate it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. It's like,
hmm
yeah, it's so impressive about it. And then I just think that like all of the like they understood all of the characters so well from there. Like you have the interaction between Tony and Captain America right from the first Avengers movie that shows you exactly where these two characters would end up. Like they
Oh
both
yeah,
want the betterment of the world, but they have very different ideologies about how to go about that. And the funny thing is what both of them say about each other is completely true and so untrue at the same time.
it's
Like,
true within the film itself, and I'm trying to think. To an extent, especially in the first one, you could argue that both of them have a point, and then later on, in the
yeah,
same film with Endgame, they both completely prove each other wrong with like Cap. Like I'm trying to think what Tony said. That Cap, everything special came out of a bottle, and
yep,
then Cap proceeds to lift Mjolnir and then walk against thousands, and then Cap said, Tony's not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to which in every single Avengers film, at some point, he makes the sacrifice play. So, a brilliant
yeah,
writing that they set up and then they continuously use to their
yeah,
advantage.
yeah. I mean, that's what I was trying to say is like everything they said about each other was correct, but so incorrect
Mhm.
at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
because at the time, what they had both seen from each other is technically correct, like what both of them said. However, each statement is like the most incorrect thing about the other person as possible. So it just makes their dynamic super interesting. But yeah, any other comments on? I mean, there's just so many cool moments. I mean, Hulk is
yeah,
actually still really cool in this movie. I think that's a
yeah.
big thing that people forget is like, yeah, I still think the Incredible Hulk has the best Hulk, but if
Mhm.
every version of the Hulk was like the one in the Avengers, I'd be very happy.
I really wish that I think he goes down after the helicarrier scene, but like that scene in which like he's chasing Black Widow, like an assassin who herself has said like she has blood in her ledger, so like she is a psychopath, and then she looks at that thing and is terrified. Like I love that moment where it just shows her face after, and like she's just kind of huddled up in a corner because she's so terrified because of what she saw. I think using the Hulk and like actually leaning into the horror like they do in this, like they do in some scenes in the Incredible Hulk, that is when Hulk was effective, and that's what I'm hoping they do with Spider-Man.
Yes, yeah, that's. I'm trying to think because I there's multiple things that I think you said that were really interesting, but like going back to like this being the first, like we'd already seen all these characters introduced. We both know that showing is always better than telling. We had
Mhm.
already seen Black Widow and Iron Man 2 be an absolute beast. Like we already understood she was this awesome super spy, like her introduction. She takes out, RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., and Iron Man Tony in the ring. We already see her take out like a full warehouse of people. We understand she's not scared of anything. You setting that up, we already know what the Hulk is like. You just
Mhm.
build anxiety for the people watching the film because we all know what it's capable of, but she
Yep.
hasn't seen it for herself. Like it's just such perfect like character interaction is because you have a character that's not scared of anything, and when you start showing her be scared, and it's not like because like if you watch something like the X-Men, like you're probably gonna have to say, oh, this character's not, or they only have one scene. But like we'd already seen multiple scenes with Black Widow. Like at the beginning of the movie, when she's introduced, she takes out a full warehouse full of spies.
Yeah.
Like we know she's not, but yeah. And then there's something else that you said
And
at
then
the
and then
end.
like and then when she gets to Hulk after doing that whole thing, she gets to Hulk, and then the second he snaps at her, she points a gun at him and then has to call off like a
Yes,
good 20 guys that are around because like they actually are hinting at how dangerous he is.
yeah. I don't think they really realized how dangerous he was with 20 guys outside, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still. I'm sure there's more than just like the 20 guys. Like those 20 guys were probably like an extraction team to try to get her out of there or something. But yeah, you made another good point, but I just can't remember what it was. So I
Her
don't know if
huddle
you
in
have
the
anything.
corner.
Wait, what'd you say?
Her huddle in the corner, or a Hulk
No, it wasn't
uses like
about
a
the
full
Hulk and Black Widow. I feel like it was about someone else. Like I think you said potentially something about Thor, but I'm not sure.
I don't think I said anything about Thor. I mean, it is a little weird seeing Thor without the bleached eyebrows, but aside from
Yeah,
that, I think the banner between Thor and Loki is really good.
yeah,
Especially, I think it's definitely an improvement. Like they're really good in Loki, but like this one, it feels more natural, and it feels more bickering. I
yeah.
love
No,
I love that moment where Thor's just like, "Listen here." Iron Man attacks him. He's like, "I'm listening."
yeah, yeah.
Like that's actually good humor in the MCU.
The forest scene was also a great scene. Like, there's just so much. I don't want to take too much time talking about the Avengers because we both literally have the same opinion about it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. Like, it's one of the rare movies I just give like a subjective 10 out of 10. Like, I went to see it in the theater. First movie, MCU movie I saw in the theater, so obviously have some nostalgia for it. But yeah, just super good, and I'm completely fine with it being at the top spot on this tier list right
yeah.
now.
Two things.
Yeah.
First off, this is in content. This is probably my favorite, like third act of all time. I think Endgame did a great job, but for me, this one is more simple, and it's definitely better looking. In terms of just sheer effects. Like a dark Transformers: Dark of the Moon's got an awesome third act, but this thing is immeasurable. And then this could have been my favorite. This could be my favorite MCU film. It's definitely top three. The only thing that always holds it back is the dang pajama Captain America suit. I still can't get over that. It looks so bad.
Yeah, not a great suit. I think everybody can agree with that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the movie that came out after the Avengers and made $1 billion. That there's a lot of people that aren't a huge fan of this. I'll
Can
start
we
first.
real quick? Can we both agree that the only reason this thing did billion is because it simply came off the hype of Avengers?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing with Captain Marvel. It came out
Yeah,
after Infinity War, but
and between Endgame.
yeah, exactly. Like it was, yeah, but no
Yeah.
doubt about that. But Iron Man 3, this is a super hot take for me, but this is my favorite Iron Man movie because it was the only one that I saw in theater. And then I also, the only thing that I really use like objectively to defend it is one, the airplane scene where they're falling out of the sky was done practically. That's just awesome filmmaking. And then two, I love them taking Tony Stark out of the Iron Man suits when he has to go to the gas station. He builds all those gadgets. That's one
Mhm.
of the only times where I'm like, they truly showed how smart Iron Man is. Like I know when
Yeah.
he's in the cave, like that's the biggest example. I don't like an Endgame when he figures out time travel in like 2 seconds. That was stupid. That's
Mhm.
not like showing a character be smart. That's just like bad writing. But
Yeah.
I love that so much. Like I just love it so much. I also love his interaction with what's the kid's name that shows up in the in
Um, I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to. I don't think I know. He's from
yeah,
Jurassic World.
yeah. You know who I'm. It doesn't. It's he's not a super important character, but that I love the interaction between him there. I also love the dynamic between him and Pepper. I think it's the best, like romantically, him and Pepper are. Um, but then like for me, this is crazy, but I would put it in Marvelous. So we're probably gonna have an argument here. I would assume.
Mine would be Multiverse of Matt. I could see. I mean, I'm fine with Marvelous because I do really enjoy it. Like once again, like you said, there are only two films in the entirety of the Infinity Saga that I would go out of my way to be like, yeah, I can't defend those at all. Those movies are bad, and they only went that way over time. But like Iron Man 3, I enjoy. I've grown to like him more and more. I think Shane Black it's definitely probably the funniest written film. I don't know if it's the funniest, but in terms of just sheer snappy writing, Shane Black just has a way. He's been falling off more and more lately, but still, back when this happened, like there are some really funny jokes here. Like you said, the way that they show that he's not just the guy in the suit, like he's actually resourceful and practical. That I really enjoyed. And the action, this is probably the best in terms of action. It might be the best of the series, but yeah, the manner twist to an extent is both overblown and underblown. I think Shang-Chi kind of rectifies it, but I still think that I do really want to. I do think that the whole when like you get the fire reveal and they say no, I'm actually the Mandarin. Like I find that incredible.
Yeah, that that scene's not cool. Like that wasn't a cool payoff. However, I just didn't care because, like, to be honest with you, people like to talk about it because the Mandarin is like a big comic book villain. But did you really care about the Mandarin before going into this movie? Like, could you really say
No,
man, the reason I'm really excited about Iron Man 3 is like the Mandarin. Like
no.
no one
I can understand that there are a lot of Iron Man fans out there, and the Mandarin is he's one of the most recognizable of Iron Man's villains. Like he's like the Red Skull for Iron Man. He's one of the most continuous ones that shows up.
yeah.
But I myself, I'm not going to gripe on it. It's just something I wish they could have done better.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of like the big thing is like the Mandarin. I actually thought it was pretty funny. Like I was just like, whatever. Like I don't care enough about this villain. Now, like let's say like subjectively, I did really like the Mandarin and that happened. That probably would have made me really, really mad. Like if you get your favorite villain for the first time in a movie, don't know why the Mandarin would be your favorite villain, but if it is, then I could see why you'd be pretty mad. But so where would you think about putting this where we have the films right now? Because like at the top
If
of
you
the
want to
tier
go
list,
Marvelous, I'm fine with that. I think I gave it 4 stars on my last. It was either 4 or 3.5. I don't remember. I can go Marvelous. I
I'll
will
definitely
say,
put it behind Iron Man.
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think it was a. I know that when this happened, they didn't know if RDJ was going to return. So the whole he destroys all the suits is
yep.
it sounds cool. Then you get to Age of Ultron, and then they're all back, and then he's somehow back to making suits. So that's weird. Quick question: Do you remember like the very ends of the film where like he throws the arc reactor?
Yes. Yep.
I take it you know that's a fake that's a deep fake, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest shows of VFX because that is I could not tell that was a
No,
deep fake
I
my first couple
I
times.
completely forgot about it until you told me about it because I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, where's he? I was like, where are you going with this? Like, I don't know what you're mean, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think I think looking back at it, like if Iron Man 3 came out in the current state of the MCU, people would be very happy about it.
yeah, yeah, it's solid. Well, we
Yeah.
only have 20 minutes, so we might need to fast
Do
forward
you,
for.
do you only have 20 minutes? Because I can
I
go
mean,
longer.
I thought you said that you have an hour, and we start at 12:15.
So my groceries probably will get here around then, but I can let them sit outside for a while. They're not going to get here right at like when they're supposed to. Like there's a range. I just don't want like cold stuff and that stuff, and then I gotta like make lunch and everything and get ready because my wife is gone. But
Got it. I
um,
just don't want you to rush anything, so just let me
yeah,
know
yeah,
if
no,
I'm in a rush.
I'll let you know. But yeah, for right now, I'm still good.
Okay, and
For
now we get to the big culprit for the Infinity Saga.
Yeah, which is funny because I also saw this one in theater, second MCU movie. Well, it had to be third because Iron Man 3 came out right after the Avengers. So I also have a hot take. I would just put this in the multiverse of meh. I don't think it needs avenging. I can see why people would put that it needs avenging. I think the relationship between Thor and Loki is very solid. I think Loki's still an awesome character. I think the villain is terrible, but they at least take the Thor source material seriously. I still think there's like the relationships between all the main characters and the characters that actually show up during other movies. Like Heimdall has an awesome scene when the elves come and he jumps on the ship and takes it down. Asgard looks super cool. I think it's the best Asgard looks in any of the movies.
Mhm,
I visually, I think the relationship between Loki and Helga is very good. I think the stuff that happens with Odin is very good. I think
mhm.
the twist at the end with Loki tricking him is also very Loki like. But I understand like all of the other stuff that's in there. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not like this isn't my biggest like hot take of all time. Like if you easily say it belongs in the void, then I can't be like, hey, I hate you for that.
Yeah, for me, I would have to disagree with you on the whole multiverse of meth. For me, there's a time I would have gone with it. Over time, this one has fallen, and I still have no ability to be like, yeah, this is better than Iron Man 2 because at least Iron Man 2 has got RDJ's electric performance. Because for me, Chris Hemsworth, you can tell he's doing a good job, but he almost seems bored at times. Like Loki, like Chris, not Chris,
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston, yes.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston is electric, but Chris Hemsworth just seems like he's on autopilot. Same thing to an extent with Natalie Portman. This movie also is the entire MCU has suffered from this, and this and Thunderbolts for me are like the biggest culprits when it comes to they just look gray, but this one in particular just looks ugly at times. And like, I mean, Malekith's a uninteresting villain, like you said. The Asgard looks gorgeous, and the relationships, none of the relationships pretty much I have anything against. But it kept the trend of killing Loki and then retconning it, and like
Yeah.
the post credit scenes, like, okay, we're doing this again. We're killing him and then doing this again. But yeah, I over time this one has slipped more and more, and this one's just dull for me. I don't have anything that I don't have anything I despise about it. Like there's nothing like this is the main reason this thing is the worst. But there is pretty much nothing in here that I can be like, but this is the saving grace, except for Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with putting it as the worst MCU movie that we've gone through since we're doing it at the time of the
Would you
release.
put this over Iron Man 2 subjectively?
I
Or
would. Yeah, I watched so Iron Man 2 is like one of the last films in the MCU that I watched kind of before Infinity War came out. Like that sounds really weird, but it took me forever to get to it. So like I have no nostalgia for it at all. I knew it was one of the worst films. So like at least with this, I saw this movie in theater with my dad and my brother. So like I have like something where I'm like I like doing that, and I was a kid, so like thinking about the things you and I just talked about wasn't really
Mhm.
there.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like
hmm?
you know what I'm saying? Like, but for Iron Man 2, there's none of that. Like, I just watch it and
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I watched it in high school. I saw all the flaws. So I just don't have that. But I think that we have it is where Thor the Dark World is the correct place, and Iron Man 2 as well. I think this sounds terrible, but I think we have a pretty solid list. I think even objectively, there's only two that like I would move, and it's probably be Iron Man 3 and Captain America not
yeah,
being in the there. But like again, it's a subjective list and our combined list.
yeah.
But the next film, on the other hand, I'm wondering.
Wait, quick. You know that that the richest man cameos in Iron Man 2, right?
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So crazy part about that. So the third time that I watched Iron Man 2 was with my wife, and she was like, "Is that Elon Musk?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I rewinded it, and I was like, "How did you catch that?" And I didn't notice it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said you were a kid when you first watched it, so
Yeah, no. So, but like I'd seen it again, and I love movie facts like that, like
yeah,
Trump being in Home Alone 2 and stuff like that. Like I love just little tidbits about that. So like I was so surprised, and my wife usually doesn't have like a good eye about that. So I was like, "How did you notice Elon was in this?" And I didn't.
does he
But
have speaking line?
he says maybe like one thing, like Iron Man's at like that bar, and then he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, whatever," like says something like that to Tony. But I don't think it's like anything major.
yeah,
Um, I'm trying to think. Okay, you good? You good with that?
yeah.
With anything? Okay.
I'm
So
definitely good moving on to this one.
yeah, I know we both really like this one. I'll let you start off because this is my second favorite MCU movie. So
Okay, yeah. For me, the Winter Soldier. There was a time this was actually my least favorite of the Captain America films, but for me, this one has jumped up. I have the only complaint I have with the film is once again the thing I have with the entire MCU. So I'll say this for some, and then for others, I will kind of refrain from saying it. But this one, once again, it feels too gray. Uh, just this is Marvel. They're known for being more colorful. I know why, especially since the entire theme
yeah,
of this is like you're like Captain America is just so black and white, and then you have this world that's so morally gray. But I do think that it could have been a little bit lighter, but just the espionage side of it. Robert Redford is one of the few villains in the entire Infinity Saga that I would say is actually compelling.
mhm.
That is a big hot take of mine, but I do not think that the MCU does great with their villains. Okay, I think the Multiverse Saga has actually improved on the villain aspect, but Infinity Saga there are so many forgettable ones. So Robert Redford is interesting as a villain, and he's awesome. Rest in peace to the guy, but and once again, the action, you have to mention it. It's awesome. The elevator fight, of course, is awesome, but there's some really good ones like that little motorcycle chase um is awesome. So this is just one of my absolute favorites of the MCU.
Yeah, I for me, I have it above the Avengers. One of
I'm
the
fine.
I think it's the one of two that I have above the Avengers. I just think this changed the MCU. This proved to the MCU that it didn't have to be, oh, it just has to be fun and slightly comedy and all of this. Like you can take the source material seriously. I think it has the best moral conflict of the entire MCU in the third act, where it's one of the rare superhero movies that, yes, there's a final fight, but it's actually decided morally, kind of like The Dark Knight or like Across the
Mhm.
Spider-Verse, where like there's an actual conflict that's not fighting that solves it, which I think is really hard for superhero movies to do. Robert Redford, phenomenal villain. I agree with you. I think Loki, or not Loki, Bucky, one of the biggest aura farmers in any movie of all time. Like legitimately, like every single scene he is in this movie, you are
Oh, yeah.
grabbed to it. It also is one of the few MCU movies that like the score is super prevalent. Like the Bucky score when he's the Winter Soldier score when
Yeah.
he's going to come on. He's super intimidating. There feels like there's legitimate stakes in this movie of what's going on. You also have the introduction of another MCU character with Falcon, and
Mhm.
he's a really likable character, Sam Wilson. You have a really good dynamic between Natasha and Steve that gets set up in this movie. This movie also changes things legitimately, like not just of like story wise of how the MCU is told, but like everything in the MCU going forward. Like Age of Ultron has consequences about this. The
Mhm.
Winter Soldier has direct conflict with Civil War. Because of Civil War, you have Infinity War. Like I think this is one of the movies that like legitimately everything that happens is meaningful. So like not just being a good movie, like I think it's one of the few MCU movies that even people that don't like MCU movies can watch and be like, I like the cinematography. Like you said, it is great, but I do think in this case, it was trying to be like more like a Bourne film than it was a superhero film.
Mhm.
So like for me, I would put it above the Avengers. Like this is
Yeah,
I
I'm fine
think
with that. There's been certain times it's above the Avengers for me. I've always wondered why why there was that. Oh wait, no, I think the stealth mission thing, like where it's black, where it's the shield is just gray, is weird, but
yeah,
that's just
yeah. I also super cool cold open with him just
yeah.
jumping out of a like I do think that like objectively Winter Soldier could be the best film in the MCU. Like this is just a film that you can take and have people watch and they're just going to be interested even if they don't like superhero movies. I
I
think
would
there's enough going on.
I would say objectively, I would say it's the second best. I will get to my defense for what I think is the best in the MCU when we get to it. I was going to say, have you seen Minority Report?
No, it's on my watch list on Letterboxd.
Okay, there's this interesting
Minority
concept.
Report, is that Spielberg? Which one
Yes,
is
there's
yes.
this concept in that film, and it's kind of touched upon a little bit in the motivation of the character in Watchmen that I think Winter Soldier did an amazing job of tapping into. It's this concept that was if there's a subway and you have like 100 people on one side and then one person on the
Yeah,
other side. Uh,
yeah,
who would you choose to save? And it's I love that it kind of does that whole morally gray, like there's consequences no matter what of like you're killing millions to save billions. So you're eliminating threats before they even have a chance to become threats. What if something goes wrong? Like this really was like the first time where it's like, oh shit, this has so many consequences no matter what happens. And it also kind of shows that even the good guys to an extent are doing things that are
yeah.
making them bad.
I just think it was a turning point for the MCU where it made it a lot more deep. Like it
Yeah.
made all the films coming after it a lot more deep because there's going to be more conflicts than, oh, obviously Loki's trying to blow up the entire planet, so that's not good. We have to stop that. Whereas like Shield was doing a lot of things where it's like, okay, are they actually like straight good guys? Like, should we be watching them as well? And then that, we'll talk about Civil War coming up, but it just sets up a lot of good things. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if the next film that we're about to talk about is the one that you think is objectively the best. If it's not, then I am super interested to see which one you think it is.
It
But
is
is it
it is not Guardians.
okay? Yeah, okay.
I do love Guardians though.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I'll let you start because I talked a lot about the Winter Soldier. I still haven't heard the groceries get here, so I'll let you know like if I hear that and then like we need to speed up, but for now we're good.
Got
Yeah, what do you think about Guardians?
For Guardians, this is one of the only times in the entire MCU I think that the whole colorful thing does not apply. I think this one is actually very colorful. I think the humor's on point. It is really fun. This is like really sharply written. The comedy's hilarious. I love how this is one of the few times where it's really funny in certain scenes, and then it really leans into the whole really sad parts, like the whole scene with like Rocky where he calls himself a freak that didn't ask to be this way. Like that scene is powerful. So there are some really good scenes. Ronin's not a great villain, but I feel like my excuse for Ronan being like this is they're not trying to give a good villain. They're really more focusing on the team dynamic, and so they're more focused on the heroes than they are about making a good villain. And if they could have gotten a better villain, that would have been better. But I would still say, oh wait, I was wrong. There's still another film on in the Infinity Saga. I'm not a big fan, but we'll get to that part later. But yes, Guardians I think is awesome. This is. Do you want me to say where I would put it on the tier list, and then
Yeah, you can say where you would put it. I'm probably going to agree with you on it.
For me, this one is Goats Assemble. This
Yep.
is one of my favorites of the MCU.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah, pretty much everything that you said. I think this is one of the first times the MCU actually cares about being different again, which is funny because the Winter Soldier is also like that, and both of these came out in 2014. But very different flavor here. You took a group of nobodies. Like, yeah, I know people are like, oh, well, Iron Man is a C-list character. These people were Z-list characters. These people were unknowns. They were nobodies. Like, nobody cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then James Gunn and the MCU put them on the map. I know, like, now saying, oh, James Gunn, like, that's a very hot topic because he's done so many James Gunn films now that are like Guardians of the Galaxy. But when this came out, you like, regardless if like you were a fan of the humor or not, you had to admit it was original at the time for its time. The thing that I wanted to comment about on Ronan that you're talking about is yes, Ronan is not a good villain. However, what Ronan did good was they established that he was powerful. And then there's the scene with Thanos where we finally get our first true introduction to Thanos.
Yep.
And you realize that Thanos doesn't have an inch of fear when talking to Ronan. And that sets up some like, you're like, dude, that guy just literally said to a guy that's powerful enough to have an Infinity Stone that he would bathe the Star Wars in his blood. Like, what type of legend are we watching right now? Like,
Oh yeah.
that was like, because like my dad, like he grew up like really, liking superheroes and stuff. Like he watched X-Men 97 and he watched BTAS when it was on and that type of stuff. But like, he wasn't a big comic reader. So he didn't really know about Thanos because Thanos wasn't in too many of the shows or anything. So when that scene happened, my dad was like, okay, I'm really interested in this guy moving forward now. Cause like, he was like, they showed Ronan being powerful. Like he knew he wasn't written well, but he was like, I knew he was powerful.
Yeah.
And this guy like over here was basically saying like, you're nothing, like you're a gnat to me. Like that was interesting. It's become a meme now, where people just sit in a chair and they're like, your AI slop bores me or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think that is more on like what you said. This was about like the dynamics between the heroes and having something to stop. And also like technically Nebula and Gamora were kind of villains. So they were really interesting, I would say. But I always look back on Ronan fondly because I think he served a really good purpose of like, he was the antagonist of the Guardians of the Galaxy that they had to stop. That had a lot of good, like they literally held hands to stop him, did a dance fight. That was super unique. But then he also set up Thanos on a pedestal where he's not a good villain. But when you really think about it, he did like a lot of good stuff for the MCU, which is really weird.
He was a kind of stepping stone for a lot of these things, but in general, he's not a great villain, but he's a great stepping stone. And he served his purpose.
I agree with that. So for this, obviously we both think it goes in S tier and Goats Assemble. Where I would put it still below Avengers and Winter Soldier.
I would too. I would too. Okay. I would say phase 1 is the starting phase. I would say phase 3 is kind of the payoff phase. I'd say phase 2 is the experimental phase where they kind of were trying to see if they could do different things. Winter Soldier is a political thriller. Guardians is a it's just a comedy. And then Ant-Man's a heist film. So they tried out a lot of really different things. And I don't think really much of phase 3 did this. It kind of seemed like they kind of went back to the phase 1 tone. And I really appreciate phase 2 for kind of trying out new things.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about it like that at all, but I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Avengers Age of Ultron, this is a diverse one. I love all of the Avengers films. I'll let you start of where you think this should go, and we'll see where we're at.
It's like you said with Iron Man. It's what like you said with Iron Man, and I think you may have said this about Iron Man 3. Like, if there was somewhere between Marvelous and Multiverse of Meh, then that's where it would go for me. This one I used to adore this one. Like it went down a little bit on my last watch, but that's still like I think I give it a thing right now. It's at a 4 out of 5, but still. I think this is probably the best. This has got the best banter of the Avengers in the MCU. It is sad that this is the last time the OG6 are really like kind of actually getting their own mission. I really wish we could have gotten another one, but gotta be grateful for what we got. I think Ultron. You've seen like the trailers, and it's like you've seen how different Ultron is in the trailers versus the film.
Yeah, there is a completely different tone.
Yeah, I really wish they leaned into that. Like, it's fun to get some of the humor. Like, it's got some really sharp bits, but it's also got some really bad attempts to put in some humor. So I think if Ultron had been a genuinely antagonistic and threatening villain, you could have made the argument. And if you had leaned into how terrifying he is, you could have made an argument he could have been the best villain in the MCU, or at least one of them, because he has like James Spader's awesome in the with the voice. The effects look awesome, and I still have no clue. I have no idea how this is the most expensive Avengers film. That is baffling to me. Besides
Yeah,
maybe something like Sokovia and how expensive it will be to try and look convincing, like you blow up an entire city. But other than that, like this is more expensive than Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah,
yeah, no, I think that's crazy too. I completely like. I remember watching the trailers for Age of Ultron. I was like, this is going to be the darkest movie they've had in the entire MCU, and somewhere in the editing room that fell apart
yeah,
because, like you said, I do think there's several witty scenes with Ultron. I still think Ultron is a cool villain. I don't think he's like a goated villain by any means, but
I
like
agree.
I still think he's a very solid villain. I
He's
think they
solid.
also, yeah, they do another good job. The one thing the MCU is actually really good at is introducing characters while they're already like in the thick of it. Like
Mhm.
introducing Wanda and Quicksilver at this point in the story had to be so difficult to do, but they did it pretty seamlessly. I know Quicksilver is like not a great character by any means, but he's not bad either. Like if we would have
No.
gotten more stuff with him, we would have looked back and been like, that was a good introduction. But I mean, he freaking dies. But yeah, like if someone's watching and they got that spoiled, then like I don't know what to say. Like how long? When did Age of Ultron come out? 2016, 2015?
2015.
Yeah, I mean it's been over a decade. But just thinking about it, I I don't have too many real like there's sometimes too much going on with Age of Ultron with like all the Thor stuff and then
Mhm.
like them setting up all this other stuff with Hydra and then it also being Avengers film. Vision's also introduced in a goaded way. I
Mhm.
completely forgot about that. I would still probably I don't think it belongs in Multiverse of Meh.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like it
thinking of
better.
Marvels.
I like it better than Iron Man 3, so I'd
I
probably
do
say
too.
Age of Ultron. Okay, then yeah,
You
dude,
and
this
I
is
are completely in agreement on that. I think if you were to cut out all the Thor stuff that sets up, you just find a different way to set up the Infinity Gauntlet angle. But if you were to cut out all the Thor stuff, then the movie is significantly better for me. That drags the film back. Like everything from the opening to the Hulkbuster fight, everything after that is like a noticeable drop. But like the opening to the Hulkbuster scene itself is awesome. I
yeah.
just think after that it has a pretty decent fall off, but there's nothing you said there I can think of that I disagree with.
Yeah, Age of Ultron's hard to talk about because some people would be like, "Oh, it's the worst Avengers film." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, it's still a good movie."
And
Like,
Avenger
it's kind of
first
like,
Avengers film was not bad by any stretch.
yeah, exactly. All right, Ant Man is also one of the ones that I kind of have slightly. No, I'll say it's a hot take. Because I'm very high on Ant Man because, like you said, it's a heist film in the MCU. So I really, really enjoyed it. I like the humor. I think Paul Rudd is perfect in this role. Who's it? Michael Douglas is the
Yeah.
older Ant Man. Yeah, Michael Douglas also is awesome. Whoever the girl that plays the, I think everyone's chemistry here is good. The supporting characters, I think, are actually some of the characters that are the best supporting characters in the MCU that I actually genuinely find, at least in this film, to be funny. And I like all the interactions. I like that they actually try to show a father being a good father,
Mhm.
which we both know doesn't happen too much typically in this day and age. I know he's a criminal, but I mean he's still trying to be a good father. I
Yeah.
like the redemption story. So like I legit I would put this in Marvelous and it would be the highest I have in Marvelous. I know that's a super hot take, but that's where I sit on it. So I'll let you
Let's
speak on it.
split it and put it above I'll allow you to put it above Iron Man, but I think we should I don't know if it's like the top because also it's like to an extent it's a one that I would say it's not a home run because one of the things is the MCU wasn't looking for a home run. It's the Age of Ultron was the MCU trying to get a home run. They got a double. The Ant Man is just they wanted a double. They got a double, and
Yeah.
it's really funny. I really think Mike, who's Louise again? Who
Dude,
plays?
I can't remember. I was gonna say the actor's name, but I couldn't remember. But yeah, Louise
Yeah.
is the character. I honestly that whole group of them, I think all of them are funny.
I think Louise, you know how he does like the whole little
Yeah,
long-ended
the back.
stories?
Yeah,
I
those.
think I really wish they could have done something in which like he explains every single film and like or like the blip. That would have been so funny. And
Yeah,
I will never forgive Quantumania for getting rid of him.
dude, I forgot
Oh,
Quantumania even existed until you said that. But I know we have to. It's gonna be really interesting talking about some of these films on the back half
oh boy.
of the
That
list.
that's I think where you and I might start disagreeing more, but the Infinity Saga
Yeah,
lined up on perfectly.
Civil War. It's got to be Civil War is in goated tier. It's an S tier.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really know what else to say. I mean, Civil War is probably one of the most talked about MCU movies. I still think I would have Civil War above Guardians of the Galaxy, but below Avengers in my ranking. I don't want to talk too much about it because I think all the things that the Winter Soldier did well that I talked about are the same things that Civil War does well. I do think that it has an awesome emotional core to it where like, the stuff with Tony and stuff is going on. I just don't think it was as innovative as when Winter Soldier came out. That's just my reason of like I could go more into it, but I'll let you talk about it now.
This is probably the biggest disagreement we've had so far. For me, this is this is one of the most impactful films in the MCU. This is what I would say is this would be my pick for objectively the best film in the MCU. I think in terms of writing, it's a better written film than Winter Soldier. Just the way that you start off, and Iron Man is we get Iron Man that begins the MCU, and he's our first hero, and now you're essentially making him the villain. You're not making him the villain of the movie. Well, some people argue Cap is, but I'm Team Cap, so I'm going to say this from the perspective of Iron Man is 100% the one in the wrong here. So the way that they kind of set it up to where there are people that passionately believe both sides, that Cap was right, that Iron Man was right. And I think this is more emotional than pretty much anything else in the MCU has. This was in a way the beginning of the end for the MCU. Like this is what sets up. This is for me the biggest way they set up Thanos. Like the Avengers break up in this, so they're not ready or prepared for Thanos in Infinity War. So it has ramifications. It's a sequel to Winter Soldier. It's a sequel to Age of Ultron. So I think the way that they give different perspectives is interesting, and so it's more emotional to me than Civil War. Than the Winter Soldier is. So yeah, this is on some days my favorite film in the MCU.
Yeah, and this is always one that I've never had that opinion of Civil War, but I've also never had the opinion where I didn't think it was anything less than amazing, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like
yeah.
I was just always like the problem with it is when I saw Winter Soldier in theater, that was the point when everything changed in the MCU, and I knew they could tell deeper stories than just like, oh, this is a great action superhero movie. This is a situation, in my opinion, truly Winter Soldier and Civil War is what do you like better, A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back?
There's
Do
no
you like
wrong answer.
Yeah, do you like the one that set up the legroom or do you like the one that built on top of it? Because both of
Mhm.
them did really great. I'm just like in this camp, I like in the Star Wars thing, I like Empire better, but in this camp, I like Winter Soldier better. And I actually think Winter Soldier is more emotional for me than Civil War, just because like this is the first time in a long time since probably The Dark Knight that we saw a hero in a movie just say this isn't the right thing to do. I'm going to let you like basically kill me. I'll take all the blame for everything. I thought that was super emotional. I think the other thing about the Winter Soldier is yes, the audience knows that Bucky is Bucky, but the characters do not. In the Winter Soldier, we see that Bucky kills. Like when you go and they have that giant safe room, it's showing all the
Yeah.
stories and it shows that it was a cover up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people just didn't catch that because it was a brief note. So like they felt like a
Yeah.
lot more emotions in Civil War because it was a big twist. However, it was already known that happened. So like we knew at some point that it was going to be addressed. That's not saying that how it was addressed wasn't epic and that Baron Zemo's plan was epic. That's not what I'm just saying. Like we at some point like you knew that like Captain America would have to find out. Whereas like in Civil War, the characters don't know that yet, but like we already completely know, and it was already foreshadowed, and it had been foreshadowed for a long time. Where like in Winter Soldier, it's just like the whole buildup is just building that up. Whereas like in
Mm-hmm.
Civil War, it's just like they're not building up to that, and then it's just like bombshell, like Zemo just threw that in there, and like you probably forgot about it and weren't remembering. For me, I just think the first time watch of the Winter Soldier, I felt like a lot more anxiety because I was like, dude, when is he going to find out? When is he going to find out? Whereas like in Civil War, I was never like, oh, when is Captain America going to reveal that Bucky killed? Because I was just like, that was a small, brief thing. But that's not really like I think that's just personal preference for me.
Yeah, once again, like you said, there's no wrong answer between Winter Soldier and Civil War. It's just for me, I think it's another Avengers film, but once again, it's just so good with what it does, and this is, and I just think it's more emotional just because you're seeing two heroes that at the time were most people's favorite characters in the MCU, and now you're seeing them collide. Like you have to choose someone, like
Yeah.
they're literally fighting each other. Cap literally and nearly kills him, and like has to put it in the arc reactor instead. So
Yeah, I mean, this was an event film where Winter Soldier was just like the film that like broke the MCU. Like people weren't expecting that from the Winter Soldier.
yeah,
I don't think it's fair because like I'm guessing you think this is the top spot right now, right?
this will be subjectively on. I'm trying to think. I haven't seen Infinity War in a long time. I can go pretty much anywhere. I would prefer near the top, but still,
Because like I said, I would have it above Guardians, but below Avengers and Captain America. And if you would have it at the top, that would technically place it right behind the Winter Soldier. But I feel like
that's
that's
fine
like
with
an
me.
old.
I'm fine behind Winter Soldier.
Okay, because I was gonna say
As
that's
long as you don't
also.
put it in the void, I'm good.
Oh yeah, you want to put it in the void?
No,
Well,
no. Okay.
well, let's just have people that are watching freaking just peek on here and then be like, "What the heck's going on?" We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can get.
We'll move it after. We'll move it when we get to Infinity.
Yeah, we'll move. I was just saying like I think that's kind of like we literally just said like it's prefer like one over the other. So I just feel bad that like it's the one you think is better and then the one I think is better is right here.
Yeah.
But for now we'll
your
wait
stream.
to see. Yeah, it is my stream, but you also kind of told me how to stream, so
Yeah.
we'll with that. I don't even talk about Doctor Strange that much. I would just put it in it needs avenging. That's what I would put. The more I go back and rewatch it, just the visuals like don't do as much for me. I would put it at the top of needs avenging, but I'm also fine with Multiverse of Madness.
I'd go Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
I think it's just
I
think
just
it's purpose.
do you think it should go right here? Or do you think it should be above one of these?
I'm fine with it anywhere. If you want to put it
Dude,
behind
I just don't even like talking about
I
Doctor
like it more than the Incredible Hulk. I think it's probably better to put it behind the Incredible Hulk for average purposes.
Yeah, I just don't even have too much to say about Doctor Strange. Like, it's a solid movie that exists, and I enjoy it. But
I find it funny that Doctor Strange is more likable and interesting in the ensemble films like Avengers and No Way Home than he is in his own films.
yeah,
I just don't care as much about him in his own.
Yeah, exactly. I like when he's a side. He's like the perfect side character because I always find him super interesting. But like, I'm just like, the problem is it's just another Iron Man story.
Yeah.
Like an Iron Man just
Doctor Strange did it.
Yeah. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, we're gonna get booted off for this.
Worst Guardians of the Galaxy film.
This was one of the weirdest films I ever saw. So I remember watching it and being like, "Hey, I'm fine with this. This one's good." I rewatched it when I was sick, and then I rewatched it again in preparation for I think it was Fantastic Four. I don't even know. I gave it 2 rewatches, and like, and since then, like, this film has dramatically dropped, dude. Like,
That's hilarious. I've had the opposite feeling.
Yeah, this is easily the probably one that had the sharpest decline. Really enjoyed it. Then the more I see the Drax and Mantis scenes, the more it's just I really don't like listening to this.
Yeah. I had the exact opposite. So I saw this in theater with my friends and I was like, this is by far the worst MCU movie I've seen. Like, what is going on? Like, when their faces are just like getting huge, and I'm like, dude, what are these jokes? The Drax and Mantis scenes, like you said. But then the more that I started to watch it, the more that I really just started to connect with the emotional parts of the movie, where I just like got past that and I was like, yeah, I don't like them, but they're just jokes. Like those aren't actually like story beats. When I started looking at the story beats and I'm like, the stuff that's going on with Ego isn't the most like interesting thing in the world. Sorry, it's asking me to make sure I'm a real person on my TikTok stream. Oh, and then it fell over.
I do. It's I'm fine if you're really really hung up on Multiverse of Meh. I'm fine, but for me, I would go needs avenging. I've never liked that whole scene where like he just casually mentions that I put a tumor in your mom's head, and then also implies that he's essentially killed thousands, maybe millions of babies. Like you're just casually mentioning this. This is dark stuff in
Yeah.
the
See,
MCU.
I see that's really impactful because you have to see it from Ego's perspective. That's not a big deal to him.
I know that, but at the same time, just the way that they say it, just has always
But
been
that's what I'm
extremely.
saying. Like, is that not per course of Ego's character? Because
Yeah,
I thought the same
it's a
thing.
great thing for his character. It's just for the tone itself and the way they're setting it up, it doesn't fit the tone, especially since they're trying to be so slapstick in certain scenes.
Well, that's why I think it works. Is because it's supposed to be like for him, it's not a big deal at all. Like he literally lives for millions of years, cannot die. So that wouldn't mean anything to him. So that's why it comes across as so harsh. It's like, bro, what did you just say? Like, what are you like? That's how I've always interpreted it. And like it gets me every single time because I'm like, dude, that's literally awful. Like, that is the worst, like, because like that's what the whole I think that's why when I watched it more, I'm like, I really realized what like James Gunn was trying to do here. Like the character of Ego lives forever. So putting a tumor in someone's head is no consequence to him at all. Like
To an
it's just not. But like also I'm fine with just putting this in multiverse of Matt. I don't love it either. I just think some of the and like the stuff with Yondu, that's honestly to me the saddest
extent,
death in the entire MCU. Like I felt the most emotion for that because like you really realize Yondu actually was trying to look after Star Lord. He just wasn't like he wasn't in any condition to be a father figure, so he tried to do the best that you can. And when you really think about it, that's how most fathers are.
he's like the. It's almost like he's kind of like the I'll be the bad guy to make you the better guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and like
he's fine hurting his reputation in Peter's eyes if it makes Peter a better guy.
it,
That is brilliant writing. I think Yondu's death is impactful. Baby Groot is funny. The like you
yep,
remember the whole scene in which like they're in the prison and they're
yes.
telling him to get something. That scene
Yeah.
is gut
That scene's
busting.
also awesome action when they have Yondu's whistle and they're shooting and they're playing like that's an awesome scene. It's just that like you said, a lot of the negative stuff just brings this really far down. I still like it better than I probably would put it behind Thor is where I'd put it, but I also could be convinced to put it everywhere. I do think it's in my
Behind
opinion,
Thor.
Thor, just multiverse of meh.
Okay, I can go with that, especially since we're going off of averages, probably. I can give you the whole thing on the ego thing. I am not giving you the thing on Drax and Mantis. I can't
No, no,
stand
no.
that.
I said I still think that's annoying. I just don't care
Yeah,
as much because like the more that I've gotten older, I'm just like, okay, this doesn't have to do anything with the story. It is annoying when it happens, but like the story itself is still enjoyable. But like, I'm also not putting it in marvelous. Like, I don't think, like, I
yeah,
just think it's
yeah.
a whatever. Like, you
I
know what I
agree. Like,
mean?
yeah, I agree. Um, you want me to start on Homecoming?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I wonder. I don't think we've actually ever talked too much about our opinions on Spider-Man movies, which is interesting.
Okay. Let's see. Homecoming, I enjoy. It's great way to describe it. I think it does I do think that I respect the way that this one actually shows Peter in school, the way that he's having the whole conflict between he has to do the schoolwork, but he also has to do Spider-Man stuff. So like it's the whole conflict of two different interests. The issue I have so much is one that you and I are probably both going to share. The whole he's just Iron Boy Junior. Iron
Yep.
Man plays too much of a role in everything with him. As soon as he dies, and that's where he starts coming into his own more. But I do love Tony still, so getting to see him is really good. I do like that he stays in the sidelines, Tony, but I do even if his gadgets are so pivotal to it. But Vulture is once again one of the only compelling villains I think it is in the MCU, and he is genuinely haunting. Like that scene in the car, like where he's threatening
Yeah,
him, that
dude.
is a great scene. And
That's such a needle drop scene.
yeah, I remember seeing that for the first time, being like, "What?" Just the like when he opens the door, that is
Yeah.
like that might be the best reveal in the entire MCU. Just the well, I mean, I'm not talking about like post credit scene, but just in terms of like just needle drop, a needle drop twist. That is probably the best one in the MCU in my book because of how it's written. So it does. This one does have some good humor too, but just like all MCU films, it's also got some bad jokes
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I agree. Where would you put it? Because honestly, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I'm just wondering where you would put it right now.
I can go Marvelous. I think it's once
Where
again,
would you put it above in those movies that are currently in there?
I like it more than Iron Man 3 and Age of Ultron. Mostly just because this one to an extent is more colorful to me. And I think Age of Ultron's so rushed. Ultron's a bigger film, but I think this one it has more breathing room because it doesn't have as much going on. But if you disagree,
No,
then
I
let
mean
me
I
know.
would put it above Iron Man, but I don't feel that passionate about it, so I'll just put it behind Iron Man. Just because I like Spider Man better than I've ever liked Iron Man, and Spider Man's my favorite character in anything. But all the stuff, like I just no offense to Iron Man, but Spider Man, man. Like I know you had to put Spider Man into this universe, and I think they did a great job. But I'm never going to be and say Spider Man's not his own character. Like he doesn't need help from, like
Mhm.
he would appreciate it. But yeah, I don't like Spider Boy Junior or whatever you
Iron
call
Boy
it
Jr.
Iron Boy Junior. Yeah, I don't love that. Um, but yeah, I'm fine with putting it there. I don't have any disagreements. I think we also disagree on Thor Ragnarok, but maybe we don't. There's someone I disagree on Thor Ragnarok with.
In
Like,
in the whole thing you just said about that, I will say, one thing Civil War did that was underrated is it introduced both Spider-Man and Black Panther. But that's just something I wanted to mention.
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think it
no,
might be time that we move Civil War back into goats.
nah, dude, freaking, we're leaving it here because if we catch
uh,
anybody and they're looking at it, I'm just hoping if we get one person to comment, that's such a win.
we'll move it at the end then.
Yeah, we'll move
Um,
it at the end. No,
yeah, Thor.
we're going to move it. I'm not going to leave it there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of the goats, but
It's too good to put it there. Yeah. Thor. I love Thor Ragnarok. This is one of the other great examples of this one's not gray, or at least it isn't in some scenes, but this one is much more colorful. This is unfortunately this was one of the best examples of the MCU underestimated how funny they were. So
yeah,
they do great humor, and then the setup Thor: Love and Thunder's awful humor,
uh,
and then it also set up the MCU being like, well, it worked in Thor Ragnarok, so let's just inject humor into the rest of this, into the rest of the movie. So I do think this one is really funny, and this is also the beginning of the end for the Hulk for me. I think I have never liked the concept of letting Hulk talk. Even in the comics, I think it takes away from the whole thing. Like he should be gone. It should just be this mindless creature. And so like the fact that he can talk and like he can think discernibly, it's like I know like he went off and he was trained essentially on Ragnarok, but for me, not Ragnarok on Ragnarok's the name of the event. What is the Sakar?
yeah, I
Yeah.
know exactly what
I
yeah,
I've always just felt then if he could do this beforehand, like they say in because in the Avengers in the in Endgame, he talks when they go back to 2012, so he clearly had a mind. So what the heck was he doing when he had that little rage on the helicarrier, or when Wanda took over his mind? It
yeah,
creates things that make Hulk look worse, and it just also makes him less intimidating. So for me, I've never liked Hulk's treatment here, but
yeah.
it's a great film. This would be marvelous for me.
I would put this in. I would have it over Guardians of the Galaxy because I really, really like Thor Ragnarok. I think this was a fresh, just like you
Okay,
said, the colors were cool, but you just want to put it at the top of Marvelous then or the bottom of Goats because that's kind of where it looks like it would be
let's put
for
it.
us.
Let's do bottom of goats. Kind of
Yeah,
fill that category a little bit more.
because like I don't disagree with what you said, but also at the same time, I think this is the last time Hulk's also any cool.
I agree with that. I'm not saying that
No,
it's
no,
all
I get
bad.
what you
I'm
mean.
saying
I just like on the double. It's a double-edged sword because everything you said was correct about what they were doing with the Hulk, but also at the same time, it's the last time, like when he fights the giant wolf and like when he's in the gladiator arena and all that
Mhm.
stuff. Like it's still, in my opinion, the last time that he's cool.
I do not disagree with that at all. Like, I mean, you could make the argument that Infinity War, he's cool for that one scene, but he also gets the living snot beat out of him in that scene. So I think this version's cool, but it also is like you said, the double-edged sword where he's less cool than he is in both of the Avengers films and Incredible Hulk, and it's also where they kind of underestimated that he's supposed to be a monster. And so yeah, for me, I've It's you're right on that, and I do think that I do love the joke in which he just jumps out of the thing and then he just like falls on his face and
Yeah,
then
dude,
turns into the Hulk. That
that
is
was I'm so mad because it's such slapstick, but dude, it was so out of nowhere. It was so yeah, that was so good. And it was cool too because like it just shows you that he was right when he shot himself. Like I guess I can't say that, but when he did that thing,
that he talks about in the Avengers.
yeah, the thing that he talks about in the Avengers, that it was true. Like his regeneration factor is better than pretty much any comic character. Like he has the number
Yeah,
one regen. But
because it's not the double-edged sword that Wolverine has to an extent, or
yeah,
Deadpool has. This one's
yep,
significantly more powerful for me, and yeah, I don't even mind it being slapstick. I just find it funny. That it's probably the funniest joke for me in the MCU. That whole scene,
yeah,
especially
dude.
just the
I
way that
also
he fights.
freaking I love when Thor is trying to break out of like wherever I
Yeah,
forgot what that place is, and he throws the ball and it hits him in the head. The thing that makes Ragnarok I'm fine with the humor is because the other two Thor movies, neither of them were great enough that like I don't care that they just went for all out humor and all out colors. Like and Thor is cosmic, so I think it works. And I
yeah.
also think like the emotional stuff here is also really good. Like when he's talking to
Mhm.
Odin and he's like, I want to be just like you, and he's like, you already are. Like, go be my son. Like, go be the king of Asgard. Like, stop like holding your like when he says you're not the king of hammers, I think that's really impactful because like
Mhm.
it's so simple, but it's like, yeah, dude, like you're Thor. Like, go be
And
Thor. And like
that
he
always
really,
resonated with me.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, Black
I
Panther.
love how when there's so many out of nowhere moments, like the whole he throws the thing in, you expect it to break, instead it hits him in the face, and then you expect Hulk to transform, instead he
Yep.
literally falls on his face and then skids. Like those moments when they're out of nowhere, those are the funniest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll
West
start
Side
off
Story.
with Black Panther first because I have like I don't think I'll ever change my opinion on Panther. Black Panther, in my opinion, was so close to not just being like S tier superhero movie. And for certain people, like I get why it's S tier, the cultural impact. Obviously, like I'm I can never feel what that impact is like because I've never, we've never been really discriminated against like what something like this could resonate for people. I get that sense, but taking that out of it, 2/3 of this movie are absolutely S tier. When we get to the third act of this movie and there's giant CGI rhinos and it's just a giant fight and it could have been similar to like an emotional conflict ending, what we had with Winter Soldier. And I know you're not a huge fan of Spider Verse, but you do have to admit Across the Spider Verse did end on an emotional core and not a fighting core,
I
which
agree.
is respectable. And The Dark Knight, I thought we were heading towards something like that, and then we just got two CGI characters fighting with a train and giant rhinos. And there's still the emotional part where he dies and then he learns something from him. But like that just takes it so far down for me, the third act, where I still give this an 8 out of 10 film. It's just annoying because the rest of the film is like so awesome. But I would probably put it at the very top of Marvelous or the very bottom of Goats. That's where it would be for me. And like everything that people like about Black Panther, I like. Like the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. The some of the humor hasn't aged well, but some of the other humor is good. Killmonger's actually a compelling villain, which we don't get a lot. Andy Serkis is also phenomenal in the brief bits that he's in. I don't want to over talk about Black Panther. I'm never going to change my opinion on it because that third act is that's MCU mandating at its finest. That's Kevin Feige at his finest, changing what Ryan Coogler wanted to do, and I know that. I know that for a fact.
Do you want me to respond?
Yeah, I'm done. Like I don't have anything else to say.
I would say this is probably the sharpest drop from first two acts to third act. This is the for me this is the most most noticeably bad drop ever. So like the first two acts I really enjoy. I'm downer on them than you are. Like obviously like and once again I obviously can't understand the cultural impact as much, but also like I've never ever thought it was top tier, but I've never thought it was bottom tier. I just think it serves its purpose, but I also think it's incredibly overrated all the same.
Mhm.
Like best picture, I've never really liked the whole best picture argument. Like the fact that isn't this the only film that's ever been nominated for best picture? Because The Dark Knight changed the category, but it never was
Yeah,
nominated. Like
it
I've
wasn't.
never liked
Yeah,
that, and I've always just been like the fact that this is the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes for the MCU is just mind boggling to me. And I also I find it hilarious that they take Black Panther's two most famous villains, Object probably and Killmonger, and Ulysses Claw, and they kill both of them in the film.
Yeah,
I have always found that funny. The score's awesome, and but I would also say like I know that you think some of the humor's funny. I don't think any of the jokes are in this are very funny.
I
Like we hinted at this when we did the whole $1 billion thing. The whole "what are those" joke, the sandals one is
yeah, dude, that
probably
that
the worst joke in the entire MC. That is such a
dude.
bad joke.
That yeah, that will never live well. I just think the joke
Oh
about him freezing is pretty funny though. When he's like, "I never freeze," and then he sees a girl, because I do think that's relatable for like most guys.
yeah, okay, I'll
Um,
give you that one. That one's good.
but I truly do think like it was like if the third act would have been just as good as the rest of the film, I easily could just be like, this is one of the greatest superhero films ever made, and it's right up there with Logan and The Dark Knight. I think those are the only two that like I'll throw up there right now, because the other ones are debatable. Of like yeah, I'd throw Infinity War into there, and then I'd also throw like Spider-Man 2 being up there, and for me, Across the Spider-Verse. But that's why I stopped, because I think those are debatable. Logan and The Dark Knight, I just don't think are debatable. Like I think they're the 1-2 punch of like that's objectively just the best superhero movies ever made. I think this had a chance, but it just fell flat. So where
Yeah,
would you put it? Because we're gonna have to try to average this out.
I would say, in my personal opinion, it would be above Iron Man 3 and probably Age of Ultron 2 and Marvelous.
Okay.
In my personal opinion.
So I think the best spot to put it right here, because I would have had it right here or here, is just so you would have had it right here,
Yeah.
and I would have had
Actually,
it.
no, I would put a Homecoming above it.
Okay.
I'd probably,
So
yeah, I'd probably go there. It's probably
yeah, that I mean that's an average. That's the
yeah,
average of where we would have it. So yeah, I don't even want to talk about Infinity War. I think it's the best film in the MCU. That's where I just sit. We've talked
I
about
would.
Infinity War, I think, for legit probably of all the times we've talked, probably like 2 hours worth of Infinity War.
Yeah, there's not much to say on it. It's awesome. It did something that we had never seen before in terms of ensembles, and it will in terms of sheer snappiness. I don't think we will ever get something close to this. I don't think Doomsday can replicate just the sheer way that it doesn't even feel like it's writing. This just feels so good and real. But yeah, we've talked ad nauseum, so I don't really think we need to. One
Yeah.
thing, have you ever noticed, looked at some of these MCU posters and feel like there's so many that just look the exact same? Black
Yeah.
Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Multiverse of Madness, No Way Home. Like,
The only thing that yeah, I completely agree. The only one that I ever am fine, and I've seen multiple people that don't even like aren't fans of the MCU, that the only flying heads poster that's justified is Infinity War and Endgame, because they're the two biggest
yeah,
ensemble films of all time. Every
yeah,
other film, like why? Like, yeah, I get that you want to show all the ridiculous amounts of cast that you want to have in those two films, but why for the other? Like, I agree with that, man. Like, can we get good movie posters to come back? Like, it's just so unfortunate. Like, I'm trying to think of like,
Winter Soldier and Civil War, like those posters just look cool.
yep,
Like the
I
helicarrier in the background, like the hero versus hero, like the way that
yeah,
they're actually like, yeah, this is and Deadpool Wolverine even had some good ones.
yeah, the
But
freaking heart one. That's the one I
yeah,
always think
yeah.
of. I like that one. But
Uh,
yeah, okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a film that I literally never ever have anything to say about, because I believe it's the definition of multiverse of meh.
I completely and utterly agree with that. I think we can just speed around these two ones because I have nothing really to say about it.
I'm putting it right here because I feel like this is straight dab meh.
It's watchable, but it's so utterly forgettable at the same time. Like
Yeah,
they made
there's
such a bad. This was such a bad move, putting this in between Infinity War and Endgame. I know why they did, just to get some money out of it, but why would you ever think to put a little small? This I don't even know if you could. Okay, it's a heist film. Why would you put a small scale heist film in between like the two of the biggest films of all time? And the neighboring film, Captain Marvel, is still significantly bigger. It was such a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's like I don't think it does anything atrociously wrong, and I don't think it does
Yeah.
anything great. The post credit scene was pretty cool, of like them leaving him there, and it did set up Endgame. But yeah, I don't. For Captain Marvel, do you think it's mad, or do you think it needs avenging? Because obviously there's
I needs
political.
avenging.
Yeah,
This is the most inconsistent film with me. The first I used to really not like the film. I rewatched it. I was like, actually, no, this is actually not bad. I rewatched it again, and I was like,
Where
oh
I'll
yeah,
just let you place this because I don't care enough about it. Where would you place it?
I would
Just
I would put man, I
also,
really don't know. I'll put it above. I would say probably above the Dark World because Samuel L. Jackson is just so fun and charismatic. The de-aging looks brilliant on face value. The walking is where it always goes wrong with like Harrison Ford, Sam Jackson. Like every single time, if you get it to where it actually looks good, although I don't even think it looks great in Dial of Destiny, but the walking is always where it gets away because you can't change the way that they walk like old men. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's okay. Hey Drew, what's going on? The viewer Drew
Hey
just
Drew.
popped in. So I just want to say hi to him because I believe he's the person watching. But yeah, I'm fine with that's probably where I would have put it. In game, I also think is in goats. I would have it at the very bottom of goats though.
I'm shocked that you were gonna put in goats. I would have thought you would be marvelous.
I just don't like. There's not enough tiers here. It would have been not in goats, but I do think it's better than everything that's in marvelous. It would have been
I
like,
thought you have Ant-Man as a higher star on Letterbox, but
do I?
yeah, you
But I
have
feel like
Ant-Man's
you're not
4.5,
going to.
Endgame is 4, huh?
I feel like you're not going to. So
Yeah, no, sorry, buddy, I'm not going that far.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Dude,
I love
I was
Endgame.
playing the field. I was playing the field.
You were feeling, yeah. I would say Endgame is just for everything it's done. I think Endgame should at least go above Ragnarok. I can hear you out if I can put it behind Guardians, but just this is my ending to the MCU, but this was the most satisfying thing. And fun fact, I actually had Iron Man snap me into the new year. I looked at the clocks and I timed it just right. He snaps, it turns 2026. Iron Man
Yeah,
starts the year off, and then Doctor Doom will end me off.
yeah,
I
perfect.
I, I did good, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no, I think
So
that both Robert Downey Jr.
I will say
All
this
right.
also has some of the best moments in the MCU, like the
Oh,
Captain
there's
America Dead Walk. That is my probably my favorite
yep.
scene, and then Captain America and Peggy. That
Yeah,
was so good.
we've Infinity War and Endgame are probably the two films we've talked about the most. Like
Yeah,
like I just like I think Infinity War just took care of a lot of the small knit things. Like we've talked about like how the flip is Iron Man even able to survive. Like I get that he deserves that, but like also is explained that on Nidavellir, that's where all those weapons were made. So how the flip is technology developed by Iron Man, keeping that in. Like just small like you let the whole balance of the universe, like you couldn't have smarter writing of one of the Avengers being like, hey, do you remember that Ant-Man guy? I wonder where he's at. And then they go find the van. You had a rat literally save Ant-Man, which is what saves everyone. Like I just think that those are some bad writing stuff
yeah,
but
yeah.
also for the
Why wasn't the rat on the poster? He did so
yeah,
much.
exactly.
He literally saved the universe.
But when you're creating the biggest film of all time, you get leeway with that. The only thing is, this is my subjective list, and in game's never going to be able to get above that because like those things
Yeah,
just annoy me too much. But they shouldn't. They just and like I've told you the time travel thing. I wish they would have been like a lot more creative and figured out like a soul world thing or like an extra plane, like what the Gamora scene was like when the snap happened. I wish they would have figured out something with that instead of time travel because time travel has obviously caused a bunch of problems for them. But that said, I still love Avengers Endgame. Like I think I give it an 8 out of 10, which is my criteria on Letterboxd for loving a film. So I still love
I
it.
I love Endgame. I agree with you. There is some genuinely. I wouldn't even say it's not very good. It's bad writing. Just like you said, Tony figuring out time travel 2 seconds.
Dude,
The
I
rat
didn't
the
even
rat touching the thing that suddenly brings him back. There's so many scenes in here that are just you could have
but
found so many better
but
options.
with 20 plus movies, you deserve to just why not? But the only thing that's annoying is Infinity War didn't, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where I'm like,
that's what my response to that is. Infinity War worked hard to do that, and if Infinity War could do it, if you had found it, and Endgame could have been so much better. It would have actually you could have possibly one upped Infinity War if Endgame had the writing of Infinity War.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. This is always a
Have you
super
noticed?
debatable movie.
Real quick, have you noticed the parallels between the kind of ending points where Infinity War, Thanos wins, and then he sits down facing towards the sun, and then Iron Man snaps, so Thanos loses, and then he sits down and he faces away from the sun, and then he dies. Have you ever
I've never.
noticed it?
I mean, I noticed in both that he sits, but I didn't notice the sun point.
Oh man, dude, that was such good writing.
Yeah, no, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. said it himself. He doesn't understand why like superhero movies don't get more praise
Mhm.
in the Academy. But yeah, I think we've talked about Endgame almost as much as Infinity War. This
Mhm.
is a film that's super divisive. I wonder if Drew is like wondering what's going on with if that's still Drew in there with Civil War or not.
Yeah. Uh, uh, this is probably the one you and I had the biggest disagreement on for
Yeah,
the MCU.
I couldn't remember if we talked about this or not.
I do not like this film.
Yeah, and I like this film. So let's just do an
Give me your
average
defense.
because I don't think either of us are changing either of our opinions. Where would you put it and where would I put it? Because I don't think either of us are swaying each other like one way or the
Yeah.
other.
Well, I mean, I can understand yours. Do you understand why I have more of
Yeah,
my?
dude. This is the film that like more than any other film, probably other in Man of Steel. Like I understand why people don't like Man of Steel. Like if you truly are just a Superman dude and you're like, why is he doing all this? I get that. This is also one of those like, dude, I completely see every single point that people argue for this film. I'm not also super high on it. Like I would have it above Iron Man just because I'm a Spider-Man glazer. But like I know that's the wrong opinion.
Yeah, I would say this is, in my personal opinion, the worst written film in the MCU. Just there are so many moments in here
Yeah,
that
you
it's like, why is that in here? And the whole take off your clothes scene, I have that is no, they should that shouldn't have even gotten past development. That would have gone so wrong if it was reversed. So,
yeah, but
um,
that happens in like so many stuff that it's crazy. But I get your
yeah,
point.
I would go needs avenging. Where would you go?
That's what I said. I said I would put it above Iron Man. So where would you put it in needs avenging?
I would put it in a. I would put it below. I'd put it below Iron Man 2, so that would average it out to Multiverse of Meh. If
You mean Doctor Strange?
yeah, so I can live with that. Hmm.
Yeah, I can also live with that because I don't know if I could live with any Spider-Man movie being below freaking Doctor Strange. I'm just too much of a Spider-Man glazer, dude. I just freaking love Spider-Man.
I do too. I just don't like this movie for some reason.
Dude,
And
lots of the reason. Do you at least like the Mysterio fight scenes though?
I think the fight scenes are awesome. I think him as a villain is questionable, but I
Yeah, yeah.
think
I mean, we've talked. I was just wondering because we've talked about what we don't or like don't like and what I like. I was just wondering if you actually like at least because I think stylistically that's some of the coolest fights in the MCU.
yeah, I agree.
Specifically the like snow globe Mysterio scene.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
I feel like we have a disagreement on this one too, don't we?
I don't know. I rarely talk about this film. It needs avenging is all I got to
Yeah.
say.
For me, for me this would be in the void. I've this for a long time was my least favorite film in the MCU. It got dethroned on my when I did my rewatch right before Fantastic Four, but still, I cannot. I think I think it is pathetic that Black Widow is just. It took until after she's dead to actually get her own movie, and the fact that she's not even in the top two most interesting people in her own film is actually kind of pathetic. The best part of this film is hands down the opening. Just that
Yeah,
moment is so serious, but like after that, like I've actually never been a big fan of Black Widow. I just find she's either not the most interesting person in the room, or she just trauma dumps like that moment in Age of Ultron where she's like, "You think you're the only monster?" Like this dude
yeah,
literally has killed who knows how many people, and he's trying his hardest not to. And you are whatever. She cannot have kids, and you consider yourself a monster. Like no. So it's in my personal opinion. I've never liked this film. I don't think I ever will. I think it when it tries to be funny, it's not, and I think
yeah.
that it's not interesting enough to do anything to
Is that
stop.
where it should go in your opinion? Because I don't even feel like talking about it.
I mean, I'd go void, but I mean, I'm fine with
Oh,
that as
okay.
much.
I mean,
Taskmaster, I actually love. I love Taskmaster as a villain, so I hate what they
dude,
do
he's
here.
just so bad compared to the comics, but he's still.
Oh,
If you don't know about the comics, he's still pretty, or she is still pretty cool.
there's no justification for the gender swap there.
Yeah, dude,
I
I
will
like what.
no.
But Drew, yeah, that's what we Ledger and I have talked about Far From Home a decent amount. I just forgot that we had, but then when he started saying all this stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this conversation. I agree with that. I think his performance is great. Ledger, has his own opinions. If you want to give Drew your
Uh,
rundown,
let me. I didn't see the
he
trailer.
says, I enjoy Far From Home, but I see the complaints people had, but I do love Jake Gyllenhaal's performance as Mysterio.
I don't like the film, but I think Jake Gyllenhaal gives easily the best performance of the film. But I just think the writing itself of Mysterio and his plan is terrible. But but Jake Gyllenhaal takes horrible writing and he actually makes it pretty compelling in certain scenes. But yeah, I agree with you, Drew. His performance is awesome, and I agree with you, Kate.
Okay. Shang-Chi. Have we talked about Shang-Chi before? I know both of us like it.
Vaguely, vaguely, I would put it in marvelous.
Yes, I would too. I can't remember. Dude, it's been so long since the problem with all these MCU movies that we're coming up to with now, I've only seen them like once. Like some of them I've seen multiple times, but like Shang-Chi I've seen twice. I would also put it in Marvelous. I can't remember because like obviously on Letterboxd, like this is just what I'm feeling right now. I could go back and read my like long Letterboxd opinions on like what these were and where I've had it rated. Um, yeah, Drew, I agree. I do really like Shang-Chi. I just have really fond memories about it. I think it also gets stat padded a little bit because like with the phases it's in. But like
Yeah,
I can't remember if I probably would have it somewhere close to the top 10. So like I'm thinking in my mind I would have it around where Black Panther, Captain America, and Ant-Man are.
I'm
I don't
fine
know
with that. I would put it below Ant-Man just and I can explain why in a second.
I
Or if
mean,
you
I'm not mad at that at all.
yeah.
Um,
I would my entire thing is this is verbatim. This is verbatim Black Panther where first
yep.
two acts are awesome. Like this if this thing stuck I might actually already have it above Black Panther. I don't know. But I think obviously I can understand some of the cultural impact it has in a lot of ways, but still just the action in this thing is unbelievable. The fact that this guy is now about to do Spider-Man, it has me so pumped. But I think Shang-Chi's awesome. And this and Black Panther are the two. This one fights with Black Panther for the sharpest decline in quality from so good to so
Yeah.
bad.
So
The CGI battle need is this one is so mandated.
yeah, I agree. The only thing is, it's a lot cooler than just freaking random people fighting rhinos. At least
I agree with that.
we get to
But I
see.
still think
No, no, you're not wrong. But it's way cooler to get to
yeah.
see magical dragons and flying demons and giant freaking dragons than here's a CGI rhino in the desert.
Yeah,
But
that's why I would put it above Black Panther, but I
okay,
also
I'm just gonna. I don't know, freaking Drew. If you're watching, tell us we literally have these spots where I'm just
you can
moving
go
it right
wherever
now.
you want on that from here. I would just say if you were to take Aquafina out, this thing would probably be raised a star. Her humor is so dumb.
I Dude, I don't even know. You just tell me where to put it. Any of these positions I'm fine with.
Let's just put it next to Black Panther, especially since they're so similar. Why do they look so similar in terms of the poster too?
Because freaking the MCU has booty posters. They're so freaking I'm just looking at it and I'm like, yeah, what? Like this is just so the
Real quick, can I
posters
start
is
with the next one? When we get to the next one, can I start with that one?
yeah, you can start with Eternals.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Eternals. Once again, this for a long time was one of my least favorite films in the MCU. I can't remember if this. I think it was when I did my rewatch for Brave New World. I binged the MCU 3 different times or twice. I think it was for all three when they came out, or Brave New World and then Fantastic Four. It raised a couple spots, mostly because I kind of listened to your opinion on like the whole. It at least tries new things. I have been soft on it for that, and I think the Celestials are just genuinely awesome. Just the effects, the
Yeah,
way that
dude.
they actually make them scary, like the scene at the end where like they show up, like that has to be so terrifying if that were to actually happen. So I think that stuff is all awesome.
Bro, and Jon Snow's in it. That's where
Oh, and Jon Snow's in it. Yeah, the
dude,
problem
I was
is,
about to spoil something so hard. It would have been a great joke. Like if you were finished watching it, you would have absolutely loved the joke I was about to make. But I can't make that joke because I
yeah,
can't spoil it.
yeah. I the problem, and Harry Styles shows up. and
Yeah.
they set up they set up that and it goes nowhere. And then let's not forget they set up Blade and it also and the Black Knight and it also goes nowhere.
Yep.
So there's so much in this film that it goes nowhere. That if this has no justification for being nearly 3 hours long, this would have been a very interesting attempt to do a TV show out of. If this was a
Yep.
TV show, would have been awesome as an attempt.
You haven't
Problem is, it's
finished
so rushed.
watching any of Invincible, have you?
I am not,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Invincible is just the better version of Eternals. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say. If you
yeah,
do watch it,
yeah.
it's just
I understand your comparison here. It's a weird feeling. I don't know if you'll understand this. It feels like it's acts like it's so rushed, but it also feels like it's so
long.
but it also feels like there's nothing going on. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's so weird.
Yeah, the viewer Drew said the Eternals, basically what you said, the visuals are really good and there's good performances, but some of the members of the Eternals were underused, and then the other, like, now just a bunch of the setups were pointless. I'll agree with that. I've never been high or low on the Eternals. I respect it for trying to do something different. What they tried
Yeah.
to do didn't really work. The big grandiose ideas they had were cool, but they didn't execute properly. I would probably, dude, I this is the problem when you have so many of these movies, and I've only seen the Eternals once. So like I only have my one experience in theater, which like you said, the visuals were cool, so I did like that. But I still feel like I'd probably put this in like needs avenging or multiverse of meh. It would be
Probably
very
where I
like
would put it too. That's probably
low.
where I would put it too. I respect it enough for what it did to. I think I give it a 2. It might have been 1.5 when I reviewed. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I
I
would put it.
honestly probably
I would probably put it above Thor: The Dark World, but I probably would take Captain Marvel because it's short.
honestly I feel like I enjoyed Captain Marvel more than I did the Eternals. Like
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Yeah, I
yeah,
would. Yeah,
I
I
agree.
would much rather go through 2 hours of Captain Marvel than
Yeah,
three
I
hours.
agree. I mean, if I had to go see one of them in theaters again, then I would see the Eternals for the visuals. But if I'm watching at home, 0% chance I'm taking the Eternals. I just throw Captain Marvel on because at least there's a Nirvana song in there, and I'd just be happy that that was in there.
At least you got Sam Jackson. Also, I love that we now have. Also, I find it hilarious that they're one of the only ones that they're basically never been referenced ever. I mean,
Yeah,
Shang-Chi's the same thing. Like Icarus was briefly in Marvel Zombies, and that scene is awesome. But you haven't seen Marvel Zombies, have you?
no, because I just think there's a lot better animated stuff to watch. But
Did you
I've
hear
also
that Icarus is in it?
no. I mean, I've seen like a bunch of the highlights like on TikTok and stuff, but I
Yeah,
haven't watched it.
he is briefly in the show, and he is in one of the coolest scenes ever in the entire show. So he's the only one. Everyone else is they have just dropped, and they're. I don't even think they'll be in Secret Wars. I think they're. I think they Marvel just wants us to forget that this ever happened.
Yeah, I agree with that. All
This was the
right.
first movie that was rotten on Rotten Tomatoes for
Yep, I
the
will
MCU.
always remember that as well. No Way Home. Are we both just in agreement? It's goats
Goats.
assemble.
Goats.
Yeah, where would
I
you
would
put it
never hate.
though? I've always had the opinion that No Way Home is just truly like an event film. Like, there's not going to be anything like that again.
Yeah,
But I also really do think that there's some really good Spider-Man stuff in here. Like,
I do
there's
too.
where would you put it? Because I'm just trying to. I don't even know where I'd put it. I'm probably going to be fine wherever you would want to put it. I would probably put it above Endgame, but below Guardians. That's probably where I would have it.
I put it below Endgame.
I'm fine with that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good with that.
I think that they really show his resourcefulness, and then you get that little thing where he uses the Tony Stark gadget that just miraculously makes up different cures for people from different
Yeah.
universes. He's like, oh, you were so close, man. You were so close. He finally is coming into his own. Then you had to bring that in.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it's got some great action, and I've never liked the whole we've talked about this movie ad nauseum. Just the whole
Yeah.
argument about it's just cameos. It's stupid, and I don't really even. It's
Yeah.
not even
No,
worth discussing that part.
That's not. That's
They're
just
just
not.
wrong.
Yeah, they're objectively wrong. Like, there's
Yeah,
actual story involved. Drew, yeah, I agree. The Andrew coming back and Toby coming back and the villains. I specifically think Green Goblin was just he solidified himself as one of the
Yeah,
just movie villains in general in this movie. He was an absolute freaking menace in Defoe's performance. Probably one of my favorite fight scenes in anything ever is the actual practical freaking apartment fight is just
I agree.
awesome. So you finally get
Mhm.
to see Spider-Man just being as brutal as Spider-Man should be.
Also,
Multiverse Madness. Yeah, go
he's
ahead.
actually really does not do good in that fight too. Like
Yeah,
Green Goblin actually puts up a pretty good fight against him, which I was not expecting. So I think
yeah.
I'd really like to see that.
Yes, because I mean, Green Goblin is actually one of the ones in the comics that he doesn't have to hold back from. Like he doesn't have to pull punches and stuff. Like
Yeah,
he's also a menace. Multiverse of Madness. I think I've told you my opinion about this. If I haven't, then it
I
might
have.
come as a
Maybe you
surprise.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my least favorite movie in the entire MCU. And it's because one, I watch too much Rick and Morty, where I see all these cool concepts of what different universes should look like and what parallel universes should look like. That this movie is objectively not the worst movie, but for me, you have the infinite sandbox to play in. And I know Sam Raimi was not the culprit here. I know it was Marvel.
Mhm.
Because if you let Sam Raimi go crazy in this movie would have been epic. Like I know Sam Raimi had the idea of the zombie Doctor Strange, which is one of the only things I think is cool. Probably
Yeah.
the only thing I think is cool in this movie. I think the girl that plays American Chavez, her acting is atrocious. Like it's laughably bad. Like it's so bad. So
Oh,
for me, this is going in the bottom. So it's going to really come up to like where you would put this in the list for it to average out. But like, I'll never change my opinion on this. I think this is like, for me, I'm all, like, I give credit to Eternals when it tried something crazy. I don't know how you have literally a movie called Multiverse of Madness and you're just like changing colors in different universes and calling like boring. Like, get out of here. Like, get out of my face. Like, you wasted. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it so much because unlike some of these other films where like Black Widow, you can't just tell a story in space with like Jason X. Like Jason X is a slop fest, but like who comes up with that? Multiverse of Madness, you could have done whatever you wanted, and it's just so boring. So that's where I sit on it.
I think this movie could have been awesome. It wouldn't have been like top tier probably just because Doctor Strange for me isn't compelling enough like some of the other movies are to where he's not compelling enough to raise the film, but this still could have been really cool. And yet you hit the nail on the head. Like it's just so mad. Like just you put them in universes where they're just changing colors and the acting from American Chavez is awful. And I hate the concept of turning the Scarlet Witch into a villain. I think it's
Dude, I mean,
in this movie's defense, WandaVision set that up, but also what
it was
if
so
she's
rushed.
also yeah, and also why wouldn't uh if she's so family sick, then why wouldn't she just go to a well, I mean, first of all, it undermines her whole point. Like she's sad about her kids dying. Don't you think they're going to feel sad that their mother's going to die? So she doesn't think about them. And then also, why wouldn't you just go to a universe in which Vision's there too? Also, why would you first go and murder your own self to be with your children instead of going to look for the White Vision who now has all of his memories restored and your literal magic so you could find some way to do that or use the book to try and find it. So instead of going to find the actual vision that is in your universe, you have to go and slaughter someone from a different universe to be with two people that aren't yours.
Dude,
It's I love how she tries to make herself look smart. Like there's that scene in which she's like, all this for a child all this for a child that you just met. And it's like all this for two children you never had.
yeah, dude, freaking dude, it's so where would you put it? Because like obviously like the average, like this is literally where it's sitting right now, like for me. So like it's gonna depend on like where you would put it.
You gave me Black Widow in there, so I'll let you. Let's put it. I would still say that at least it took some risk. I can't think of anything Black Widow did to really risk anything. It was just a terrible attempt. Doctor Strange at least does some stuff, and they were either really bad. Also, why do we have to put in Captain Carter? Nobody, even women don't like her. Why do we have to put her in here?
Yeah, I
This
don't.
was it was so bad. This right here was like this like year or two was like when the MCU hit a
Yeah,
break.
this is where like it was brutal because also their shows weren't good. So like it
Oh,
was just like
at least like it was Shang-Chi was fine. Then like from Eternals all the way up until Thor, Love and Thunder, and then it skipped to be at least for me with Wakanda Forever, but it really was rough. So
Yeah.
now he
I'll let
comes to
you
real
go
comfort.
on Thor: Love and Thunder because I also have hot take here. Not super hot. I mean, it's not sizzling, but to some people, I guess it would be sizzling.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, you. I'll let you go first.
For my first, there was a time in which I thought this was my second favorite Thor film. Over time, it then rose to one of my bottom few, and then on my most recent rewatches, this film dropped to my least favorite film in the MCU. I seriously cannot stand this film. When you talk about like bad MCU, I cannot think of a better poster boy for everything wrong with the MCU than Love and Thunder. It hits the nail on the coffin every single time. There's atrocious acting like Heimdall's kids, like the Heimdall's kid. The acting there is terrible. The horrible effects like the Heimdall's kid's head. You have terrible humor like the flicking scene and the screaming goats. Like it is so unbelievably bad. And then it just also wastes great concepts at the same time. Like you get Christian Bale, like a comic book legend, and you manage to make him look stupid. Like he's awesome when he's awesome with the scenes he's in, but at the same time, just he looks so stupid considering he's in this film. The only part that I think is halfway decent is the black and white scene. I think that's good. Other than that, this film for me is a train wreck. And for me, this is the poster boy of everything wrong with the MCU. This and She-Hulk.
Yeah, dude. She-Hulk. I wouldn't even. I don't even know how you attempted to watch that. My one of my friends also watched that, and I'm just like, dude, how did you? I don't know how you did that.
I
But
watched She-Hulk, but I haven't finished Game of Thrones.
yeah, dude, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. I'm like, what's going on right now? At some point, you have to just be like, okay, I do love the MCU, but like, I can't be a clapping seal. I gotta freaking just get that. 'Cause that's where that happened for me is freaking when I tried to watch Secret Invasion and I watched the first two episodes with my dad and both of us were like, why would we watch this when we could just watch something else? Like, why would we watch this when we could just watch something else? That's
You
where
never
like
finished it? You never
no,
finished it?
no,
Oh.
I just don't care. Yeah.
I may have been a clapping seal there. I actually did finish it. I binged it.
Yeah, but Thor: Love and Thunder, I don't think it's good. I just don't think it's as bad as people say. But I also don't care. I do think the relationship with Jane and Thor is good to see again. I think the jokes go way overboard. Some of the CGI is terrible. However, I do think the stuff with Eternity is actually cool. I'm always about like ethereal, like otherworldly type stuff. I think that CG is cool. Where like for me, I'm just like that's still better than Multiverse of Madness and Black Widow. Um, but that's as far as I would put it. So it definitely belongs in the void.
Oh
So
yeah.
I guess we're putting it Black Widow is still
I'm fine with Black Widow still being dude, this looks so weird. Like we got a really solid couple things. Then you get to Multiverse of Met and like I mean not multi you get to Void and like it's all stuff that you would expect. Then you get Civil War in there. Like someone's just gonna hop on and be like, how the heck did this happen?
dude,
Because it's such a derivative one.
we've had a bunch of people
Um,
watching at different points. I was actually surprised how many people we had on TikTok. Like I had the entire time at least two people watching, which is interesting because they couldn't even see the screen. But all right, Werewolf by Night, I think is either top of Multiverse of Met. No, I got to put it Marvelous. It's definitely just middle
Yeah,
of Marvelous in my opinion. I don't
I
think
think
there's nothing special about it, but there's everything's really good.
yeah, I really am into this. I don't think I've ever seen the colorful version, but I think the black and white version is good. This is something that you really should watch around the October season. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I agree with that. I'm fine with like putting it like here or
I
here.
really wish the MCU did this more often. Like we need
Yeah,
more
that's something
experimental
I
things
was
like
like
this.
DC, we always get different unique projects, but Marvel,
Yeah,
we hardly get anything. And so I do, yeah, I think I still gave it an 8 out of 10. So like that low key be like based off how I was doing some other stuff like up here. So like I don't know, where would you put it? I just want it to be in
I
Marvelous somewhere and prefer
I put it below Iron Man.
all
I
right,
just
that's
think
what
Iron Man is more. I'm just more into Iron Man.
yeah. Yeah.
Wakanda Forever.
I think we have different opinions about this, but I can't remember.
Uh, I used
I
to
feel
really not like this film. I changed my opinion when I rewatched it for Fantastic 4, I believe, was when it changed. I actually really enjoyed it on rewatch. For me, it
Okay.
was actually a toss-up between if I like this one or the first more. I'm just
Yeah,
so not into the 3rd act of the first. Like, I was like, I
dude.
have such little attachment to this. Like, I don't care if someone likes this one more than they do the first. Like, and especially since they were dealt such a bad hand, like their
Dude,
actor
that's
dies
not
and he just didn't tell them, and then COVID happens and it inflates the budget and they can't shoot, and then they have to rewrite the whole script. Like they got everything and they still managed to make a very competent film out of this. But one thing I will say, there's no justification again for this thing being nearly 3 hours long. There's no way to
yeah,
justify
no.
this.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that like I've only seen this movie one time. I've watched Black Panther again since that. I like Black Panther just because I think it's recency more than I like this movie. But when I saw this movie on release, I liked it more than I liked Black Panther.
I thought you
Like
said
I
you loved Black Panther.
uh debate like that 8 out of 10. So like yeah,
Okay.
I really liked. I think I would give Wakanda Forever also like an 8 out of 10. From what I remember, the only problem is I only saw it in theater opening night. So like that was all those years ago, and it's a 3 hour movie. So like I remember lots of parts of it. I remember how impressed I was with the bad hand that they were dealt, that they still made it good. I just can't like I remember scenes, but I can't really remember this film in its entirety, unfortunately. So where would you put it? And I'm just gonna have to give it there because like my opinion, I just don't think is fully formed.
I'd go above Iron Man 3, but I'd put Avengers and pretty much everything there. I think that the acting in particular is easily its biggest strength. Like, I especially after seeing her show, I cannot stand Ironheart, but seriously, like from all like the Wakandans and everything, their acting is incredible. Like
Yeah.
Shuri and the Queen especially are so good.
Yeah. No, I just remember really liking it, and I remember specific scenes, but I couldn't even tell you like all the story beats about like why Namor is coming and all. Like, I just couldn't. So I'll let you.
Namor,
I just remember that I liked it. Quantum Mania, I also think I would put it at the lowest of needs avenging, because I think it's better than all of those other films, and like I still think there's cool CG, but other than that, it's pretty garbage.
the CG is what you're defending.
Uh, well, I just like the one guy that has like the laser head, and that's pretty much it.
I would go in the void, just the combination of bad
I'm not going to argue that. I
I
just
would
think it's
say
better than all the other things we have in the void.
I would say in terms of just pure CG, this is the most consistently bad CGI. Like, there's worse examples of CGI in the MCU, but just in terms of consistently, this looks
Yeah,
terrible.
that
This
is
looks
fair. The
terrible. It is
background,
so bad.
yeah, the background is terrible for most of the film. I just when I think of bad CG, I just always go to the one scene of that kid in Thor, Heimdall's kids, and then
Mhm.
I also think about the scene in Black Widow where they freaking blow up the ship, and she like
Yeah,
those
and
are the
like
two. But yeah,
those are
Quantumania
the
is
two for
not
me as
good.
well.
I
I also hate what they did with Kang, but we've talked about this to an extent with everything
yeah,
Kang's been dealt, but so not really like we need to rehash that. But yeah, Quantumania sucks if you take anything away from this.
yes, yeah. Um, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hold up, let me make I groceries were supposed to get here like 20 minutes ago. Let me go check.
Got it. Andrew Garfield stole the show out of the three Spider-Man, and Willem Dafoe stole the show in terms of villains. Drew, I agree with that completely. I think Toby's just so famous that the fact that we got more of Andrew who got cut off, I think he was, for me, the one that stole the show. And I agree, Willem Dafoe did great. And I would say Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, he was underrated in terms of the way that I think he was underrated in terms of how much he stole the show, both in terms of humor and seriousness. And Spider-Man No Way Home is awesome. Seeing Toby and Andrew coming back alongside the villains were awesome. I would also say seeing Alfred Molina and Toby, their reunion was amazing. And he's back. Wanted to address the No Way Home comments from Drew.
Yeah, I actually talked
Sir,
about it. You said them.
Yeah, if they're here, if your groceries are here, we can speed around through some of these.
They're not here, but they should be. Typically, they get here within like the first hour or so. In the next 10 minutes, they'll be here, and I can let them sit
Got it.
out for 15 minutes. So I'd say I probably have 25 minutes left.
Okay.
Maybe longer, but like I just don't want obviously frozen stuff to become unfrozen.
Yeah.
So
Guardians.
yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I would put this very least in the top of Marvelous, but I'd probably put it in Goats Assemble.
I put it at top of Marvelous.
All right.
This one's just so depressing at the same time. I understand why. It's so hard to watch. Like
Yeah, dude, even at the end when he freaking goes back and sees his freaking grandfather, that almost makes me get a tearjerker every single time too.
Yeah. It's a I feel like at the same time I can't think if we've ever talked about this one, but at the same time I feel like we have.
Dude, we definitely have because we talked about it when it came like out all the way back then because that's when we first started talking. But I just can't remember what either of us thought. Obviously, we both liked it. I think big thing is finally another good MCU villain with the High Evolutionary is actually just like, and he's not one of those like, oh, like he's just the worst, and that's okay for villains to sometimes be the worst.
Yeah.
Like
you don't need ones like Thanos where you kind of listen to it and it's like, but at the same time, he kind of has a point. We just need some.
Like,
we can have some of them that are just like, oh,
you can have Palpatines can exist.
Yes,
you can have Palpatines. Like
it's a great example.
Yeah, like they can exist. The Marvels.
I don't even think this one's worth this. But this one for me is this. This was another example where the MCU just could not be straight for like they hit a really good one, then they hit Wakanda Forever really good, Quantumania bad, then they get to Guardians so good again, then the Marvels they can't keep it straight, and this is another great example of effects that look so bad.
This is the first one that since I saw the Avengers in theater that I didn't see in the theater, and I just watched it at home.
You knowingly were like, yeah, I'm not seeing this.
Yeah.
I was the same thing. I could have seen in theaters. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I just was like, it may not be the worst. I still don't think it's the worst MCU movie in my opinion, but I knew. What'd you say?
I don't either, but I would still say it is in the.
That thing belongs in the void. I just don't know. Like, I think I would rather watch Quantumania because I like Ant-Man's character better. I think that's where I would put it right now. I don't know where you would.
Fine with that. Oh man, this was such a losing streak for the MCU right here. Man,
dang.
The sing. I have no idea how the singing thing also made it past development. That was such a corny idea at the least.
Dude, that was something that I actually just respected because it's like if you're gonna be bad, at least you just went full blown bad. Like I don't know how this got through, but I was just like. That's exactly. It's like when Cars 2 got made. Like, who walked into Cars 2 and said, "Hey, remember, the first Cars that we had about Lightning McQueen, the super popular toy that we make, millions, probably even close to like billions of dollars off of over its lifespan. Let's make it about the ugly tow truck, and let's make it a spy movie." Like, who the flip greenlit that? Like, who was like,
just like lean into it?
Yeah, that's where I'm like, hey, man. The Marvels at least leaned into something really weird, and I gotta respect it because, like, think about it. Like, we could have had a singing dimension multiverse of madness, and it would have fitted better.
Boy.
So, like, in my opinion, they took more risk than multiverse of madness because they had a singing scene.
I agree with that. I just don't think the singing scene was good. It was just very
it was awful. But like, you know how I am. I'm always fine, even if they come up with an idea just to be different. Because like, think about it. Like, that was just a different planet. So like, why in Multiverse of Madness were some of the best ideas you could come up with stuff that we've already seen just with different colors?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't want to harp on Multiverse of Madness too much, but I don't even know why we're taking more time to talk about either of those two films.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting to the tolerable part. I really hope the MCU never has this again.
Yeah. Okay. Deadpool and Wolverine. Only experience I've had is in the theater. I've heard that it gets worse and worse legit every single time you watch it after that. The theater experience was awesome. Definitely a cameo fest, but I went into this expecting comedy and I laughed a lot. So I think I still gave this an 8 out of 10. So right now I would have it Probably in the range from Ant-Man to right behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because it was a theater experience. I just don't have any other experience. And I know you're also a freaking Wolverine glazer, but I don't know how your opinion sits now that you've watched it since not being in theater.
I well, fun fact, my dad was actually watching this last night. He
Oh,
adores
really?
Deadpool. So like this is his favorite film in the MCU, I'm pretty sure. Like, but he is a
Yeah.
Deadpool blazer. I will say that. So just like just like I'm a Wolverine glazer, and I will say this on
No offense.
rewatching it's so much worse.
Yeah, no offense, but dude, the my least favorite Glazers probably in all Glazers are the Deadpool Glazers, man.
I agree. I agree. They are so annoying.
Yeah, like it's just like I don't even like he's a great character, but like the glaze they be giving Deadpool is just crazy, man. I'm just
It's
like just let it go.
it's always the part where it's like Deadpool could smoke anyone because it's like he can't die. It's like, okay, that just means he's repeatedly gonna get his
Yeah,
butt handed to him.
it's
That
like
doesn't mean he's gonna win.
you haven't seen the Rick and I know you haven't watched Rick and Morty, but there's just like one fortune cookie
I've watched
episode. Oh, you've seen Rick and Morty?
I've watched it a little, yes.
Okay. Well, there's just like one fortune cookie episode where whatever you eat, whatever the fortune cookie said, you get. And so there's this one guy that Rick was fighting and he ate it and he said, "Ha, it means I live forever and I can't die." And he's like, "You think that's a superpower?" And he just starts shooting him with a machine gun like instantly. And that's what I'm thinking about like Deadpool. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Bud, if Superman walks down, he cannot do anything to Deadpool cannot do anything to Superman. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what you think like
Have you seen what the Punisher did to him once?
if you tell me about it, maybe, but I can't remember. I'm sure it's atrocious, but
Punisher literally well, Punisher's also really powerful. He's taking out Doctor Doom at one point, but Punisher literally takes a Deadpool, chops him into little bits, like takes some of his body parts, puts them in bags, and since Deadpool can live forever, he literally buries his body parts all over the city. Like so, like he buries an arm somewhere, and then he like goes several miles, and he goes buries another one. Like he just buries them all over the city, and since he lives forever, he can't do anything about it. It was,
yeah,
but
that's
that
kinda
is
like
something that all Deadpool fans hate.
I think the thing that annoys me the most is when they're for real, the Deadpool Glazers like say that he beats Deathstroke, and I'm just like, bud,
No,
I'm
he would
I'm
not last 5 minutes with
I'm
that
like,
stuff.
I'm sorry, dude. Like you I don't get me wrong, like Deadpool's cool, he's a really good fighter, but like, dude, he's not he can't I don't want to tell you. I'm glad you're in the same camp because like don't get me wrong, I like Deadpool, but the Deadpool Glazers just are just on a whole different
They are
level.
they are so indubitably annoying. But this movie does get worse on rewatch. It's still fun. It is still very funny, but it has the same problem of Deadpool 2 where they just throw way too many jokes. So there's some really bad attempts to like when you're joking every 5 seconds, there are going to be jokes that are not funny because you cannot
Yeah,
consistently do that. So there's many attempps where it's like, okay, I'm done. And
it's
I
strength and
do not like
volume. If you tell enough jokes, eventually some of them are going to land with everyone.
yeah, and there's so much, and I do not like Cassandra Nova as a villain. I think she's one of my
Dude,
least favorite villains in the MCU. I think,
I wouldn't go as far as that, but yeah, she was just so. I was just like, dude, we had such a cool chance for someone cool coming back from one of the other universes, and I know that's
yeah,
cameo, freaking brain rot, freaking nostalgia, whatever. But like, I would have just rather had that than her. So,
I don't even mean cameo. It's like a who's the wizard one the in the X Men, the one that has the cape. He's one of the most powerful X Men villains.
dude, I know who you're talking. You're not talking about Mister
Mister
Sinister.
Sinister.
Yeah,
Mis- yeah, use him or someone, like, anyone but
yeah.
Cassandra Nova. Nobody went into that film was like Cassandra Nova's going to be in this thing. It's going to be so awesome. No one knew who
Yeah,
she
I
was.
remember even sitting there opening night, just being like, "Dude, who's the villain going to be?" And they're like, "It's Professor X's sister." I'm like, "This feels like multiverse of madness, brain rot again." But
Yeah.
I still liked it. So where would you put it? Because I just told you I would put it like right behind Guardians of the Galaxy or right behind Ant-Man is my range.
I would not. I would disagree passionately and say it's better than Deadpool. I mean that it's better than Shang-Chi and Black Panther. But
Yeah,
I
that's
can.
what I've only
I'm
seen it once, so if I feel like a theater experience isn't a super fair comparison
no.
compared to like I've seen these other ones. Like each of those other ones, I've seen Shang-Chi out of theater. I've seen all the other ones multiple times. So like wherever you think it should go, then like we need to average it. So I'd probably just put it above like Black Panther.
Yeah, I would say Captain America and especially Guardians take more risks. They do more in terms of story and characters than Deadpool. it's just there's some lazy writing in there, which it's earned to an extent, but also Captain America and Guardians did more. So
Yeah, I agree.
I don't really know if we need to talk about this one much. I feel like we have, and
I mean, I would just either go right here again, or I'd go right
oh
here.
no, I would not put it in the void.
Or you'd go right here.
I would put it in. I would put it
Actually, I think I like it more than because I forgot
in.
this isn't my ranking. That's our average ranking. So I'd put it
In
probably
my
right.
opinion, in my personal opinion, this will be like the greatest example of multiverse of Matt. I do not think it's the worst thing ever, but it's just so average. Like I use the term it's painfully average. Like it does nothing. Like actually no, it does a couple things that are pretty big rookie mistakes, but at the same time, it's got enough to where it's just watchable. Like it interconnects several times. Like it's bringing up Eternals, it's bringing up several things. It's the most focused the MCU has felt in a long time, but at the
Yeah,
same
I
time,
remember I put that in my review as well because I thought
yeah,
the exact same thing.
it's just, but there's so many things that are like, dude, why? What?
Yeah.
Just why?
So
And
where would you put it then?
I would put it in multi. I would put it like at the back of Multiverse of Med. Just it is such a poster boy for like meh. What about you?
Where I have it is where I'd have it based off like
Dang.
our rankings right now.
Hmm.
So where would you
I
put it?
feel like I could go bottom of. I can go top of Ninja Avenging.
I think that's a fair. I'm fine with that.
It's
I
got some
just
good memes though.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
there's this hilarious one where it shows Red Hulk transforming. It's like for this they did this. There was no CGI used for this scene. They just
Oh yeah,
asking Harrison Ford questions about Star Wars.
yeah. No, I saw that too.
Yeah. Oh man.
The
Okay,
Thunderbolt
okay. Now I'm enthusiastic. Now I can actually be positive for once.
for real.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. I would put it. Trying to think. Probably above like Iron Man 3 all the way up until above Iron Man is my range.
I'd go Marvelous too. But dang, we have a lot in Marvelous. I mean, they're all so good.
Yeah, I feel like we'd have if we had another in between, definitely
Yeah.
some of these would get gotten weeded out in there, but
That's the
where
life
would
of an
you
MCU glazer.
where would you put it? Because like mine is like here to here.
Mine would be I would put it I like it more than I do Age of Ultron. And I would like it, this is top 10 MCU for me, so I would default it to above Homecoming and Werewolf by Night. But where I would say in terms of your average, you where would you put it?
Yeah, I think I would be realistically I mean, I would have it probably right here.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Not bad. And then there was one.
Fantastic Four. I'm also like the same opinion about
I
I
am too.
I like Fantastic Four, I think, a little bit more than I like the New Avengers, which is interesting because, like, I feel like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, it was definitely more man areas, but also at the same time, I was just like, oh, it's a different universe. I don't have to
Mhm.
rely on it just connecting back. Galactus was cool. The freaking Silver Surfer doing that surf scene on the freaking black hole was awesome.
Oh,
Mm,
it's
I
it's just I'm trying to think. It's so new and it feels so different for the MCU that it feels so different considering everything because it's in a different universe. So there's different rules at play. There's I love the way that kind of does the world building about the 1960s.
Yeah, the atmosphere was definitely cooler than like pretty much almost all the MCU movies because
Mhm.
like most of the MCU atmosphere is just duty.
Mhm.
Um, but
This one's
I
colorful too.
what'd you say?
This one is colorful too.
Yeah, I would probably still. This is where I would have it.
I'm fine with that. I, And
And
do you think we could take Civil War out of the out of timeout? Yeah, that's better. That's better. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Dang, we really do have a lot of Marvelous, but
hold up, can I add another one?
I mean,
Add
you can, yeah,
add above. I'm just gonna put this close, which is that Star Wars reference. You know when he was like, "We're
yeah.
this." Yeah, I'm gonna put that's always my favorite because I just love that line. And I'm gonna start freaking. I'm guessing you completely want Endgame to be in goats. I think it should be. I'm
I,
gonna go
I
like
would say just in terms of how bad the writing is, I think Endgame kind of has to be there.
in this
Also,
close.
that also makes Goats Assemble more meaningful.
I think this is where let's make this color. I think this is where my list would fall,
Not
or
bad. I
of,
like it.
of our combined list.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks better.
Yeah, I think this looks good because there's just way too many in goats assemble. Because
Yeah.
like definitely, I think these, what we had here, I was fine with this being top of Marvelous. I still kind of wanted it. I think these just fit perfectly, like right here.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Man, I feel like we accomplished something. That was crazy. We definitely should do
It
this
is.
again with another project.
I'll I'll stay in touch about that. We would need to find another really big franchise. Because even Star Wars doesn't have that much.
I mean, but with Star Wars though, the thing is, I've seen like most of the shows.
Oh yeah, you have.
Or you know what I mean? Like I've watched like pretty much all of the, I'm trying to think. I didn't watch The Acolyte because I would never do that to myself. And then like I'm not watching Skeleton Crew. What else even is there? Because I'm trying to think. I watched Book of Boba Fett. I watched Kenobi. I've watched all of Mandalorian. I've watched all of Clone Wars. I've watched all of Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Underworld,
Rebels.
um, Rebels, The Bad Batch. So yeah, I mean I've watched. Yeah,
On that subject, did you ever watch the Revenge of the Sith 4-hour cut I sent you?
no, dude, I just haven't had time, unfortunately.
Dude, it's so good. Also, this same guy, he turned Book of Boba Fett from the show into a movie. He turned the Obi-Wan Kenobi show into a like 2-hour movie. He turned the Rebels arc, the Darth Maul one where Kanan loses his eyes.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, he combined all 4 episodes to just make like an hour and 20-minute long thing. It is seamless. It is so unbelievably good. This man is so incredible. And the problem is he's not doing this anymore. Like
Dang.
he absolutely did so good. Then he just was like, yeah, I'm just gonna retire now.
Oh man. I mean, fair to him if he just made a bunch of money. Because I bet I mean, it takes me freaking forever to edit my shorts that are 15 seconds. It takes me literally like a minute per second. So no
Yeah.
telling what that guy has to do. My
Oh yeah.
groceries here just a second ago, so I
Yeah.
probably do need to go get them. But
Yeah.
this is probably my favorite stream that we've done so far. I think tier lists are always just the easy
Mhm.
thing to do. I just wish that like I had a better like more engaging setup. Like that's one reason like I want to keep doing streaming because like I know this could be something big for like my channel and then also helping your channel grow. Because like
Yeah.
if we're starting on mine, I'm gonna have more people coming that could go to you. It's just
Yeah.
like figuring that out. It's like when I figured out shorts and like some of my long form content has done good, but like I want to figure out like how to at least get like 10 people on the stream and then like because like I feel like this idea, if we would have done this idea, I think the content was good. It's just that like I don't do streams enough where people aren't watching
Yeah.
for streams, and then I'm not even big enough because like I still feel like this would have been really engaging. That it was worthy of having 10 people, but I mean you know how the algorithm is.
Well, yeah, I think if we do more, I think we need to start doing more franchise rankings, and then if we do more collabs, I think we're gonna build our audience more.
Yeah,
So we need to do more of that.
I agree with that.
We can stay in
Um,
touch, and then we'll do more like this, and then
we also can just do all superhero movies ever, and then like the ones that like I haven't probably seen all of them that you have seen. Like we can just leave at the bottom because like or just let whoever's seen it just rank it.
yeah, I've seen every single Marvel film except for the 1990s Captain America film and the 2 Punisher films. Everything else
Oh,
I've seen.
really? I haven't seen either of the Punisher films. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Oh, wait. No, I've seen the 1998, the 88 one, 89? The one with Dolph Lundgren. I've seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I watched like
What
the
was the other
first
one? 94 or like 2008, 2004? I can't even remember.
2008 was Warzone.
Yeah.
2004. What I've seen the first 10 minutes of 2004. I never finished it.
Yeah, yeah.
I barely started it, but that's not the point. Um, so we'll stay in touch on some more of these things because like you said, that's a great idea.
Yeah. I agree. All right, I appreciate it, Ledger. I'm gonna end the stream real quick.
Thank you, sir.